traditional crust pizza. Stop by our flagship store in Oak Park and make new memories in our dining room with your kids, grandkids, or old friends. And our banquet room is perfect for your family's events or business luncheons. If you don't have time to stop by and sit down, use our easy phone or online ordering systems. Choose carryout or delivery with our own speedy in-house delivery team. No third-party delivery services and outrageous fees. Order direct. Support local small business. Salerno's Pizza is still family-owned and operated. We give you unrivaled customer service and delicious quality meals and cater any size event. We're open for lunch and dinner. Stop by our locations in Oak Park, Chicago, Lyons, and Bolingbrook. Call Oak Park now at 708-383-1500 or visit us online at salernospizza.com for more info.
512 on AM 560. The Answer. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of the AM 560 Advantage. Join today, 560theanswer.com/join. We'll start in Hampshire this morning. Kane County, accident, Briar Hill Road in Dietrich. It's a truck versus a pole. Wires are down, and that means the intersection is going to be gummed up for quite some time. Accident on I-80 involving a semi. I-80 westbound at the Veterans Memorial Toll. That's I-355. Tri-State, an entrance ramp partially blocked. Southbound from Halstead after an accident involving a semi. The Stevenson, an accident inbound at Pulaski with a right lane block. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our AccuWeather meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Today, clouds and humid, breezy day. Thunderstorm or two. Could be severe this afternoon. Downpours, hail, damaging wind, high 87. Thunderstorm this evening, otherwise clearing tonight, low 65. Sunny, breezy, terrific day tomorrow, the high 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Here's your updated temps. 73 at O'Hare, 71 Lakefront, 76 Midway, 69 Aurora, Lake Michigan water temp at Wilmette Harbor, 71. Your next news update, 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
As a former congressman and the ranking member on the Judiciary Committee of the U.S. House of Representatives, Doug Collins knows what it means to fight for what he believes. And on every episode of the Doug Collins podcast, he'll explore all topics, from politics to life advice, and blend them together for a well-rounded discussion that you can use to get the most out of your life. The Doug Collins Podcast. Subscribe today on Apple, Google, Spotify, and at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
This is Jerry Boyer for Townhall.com. Pete Buttigieg, our Secretary of Transportation, recently pointed middle-class families towards electric cars as the way out of the problem of high gas costs. For a transportation secretary, he sure isn't very good at giving directions. Electricity prices are up 95% since Biden took office. And of course, that's nothing compared to what would happen if Americans actually did switch en masse to electric vehicles. But there's a deeper problem with electric cars: the horrific abuses in the supply chain. The National Legal and Policy Center put a proposal on the ballot asking GM to examine the use of slave and child labor in the production of batteries for their electric cars, and to examine the risk of cancer for children in the mining of cobalt. Amazingly, the Standard activists suddenly became curiously incurious about whether electric cars were built on the backs of childhood cancer and slave-like working conditions.
Publicpolicy.pepperdine.edu.
Daily stress is a big deal. Fact is, the terrible impact of stress is very deadly and shortens our lives. Stress attracts diseases just like blood in the water attracts sharks. Nearly 40 years on the radio, and we continue to share practical concepts from a natural healthcare perspective to help minimize your need for all those dangerous drugs and risky surgeries. Today on tap, it's our dirt cheap adrenal stress index test. No blood, just spit. Now, most people flunk on their first go-around, signaling adrenal gland distress. Then, following just a few of our stress-busting strategies, most individuals pass their second test with flying colors. So if you can spare a little spit, call and purchase your first Dirt Cheap Adrenal Stress Index test, and we will hold that same special low price for your follow-up test. Just call 800-794-1855. You can't get any cheaper than Dirt Cheap. That's 800-794-1855. More Health Quest coming right up.
Hi, it's Amy, and now's the time to join the millions of Americans who have changed the quality of their sleep with MyPillow. Mike Lindell didn't stop at pillows. Oh no. Right now, MyPillow is having their biggest sheet sale of the year. The MyPillow Percale sheets are the comfiest set I own, and you're going to love them. They're available in a variety of colors and sizes and are all on sale. For example, the queen size, regularly priced at $89.99, now only $39.99 with promo code Amy. Order now because when they're gone, they're gone. These MyPillow Percale sheets are breathable, have a cool, crisp feel, and come with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. So don't miss out on this incredible offer. There's a limited supply, so order now. Go to MyPillow.com and click on the radio listener square and use promo code Amy. You'll also get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code Amy.
Next time you're in the office, look around and see the paper accumulating and the filing cabinets taking up space waiting to be filled. You want the paper gone, but dread the time-consuming scanning process? Well, with IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's never been easier to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud. The need for PCs, cables, and tedious application software is eliminated. Anyone can set this device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money, valuable time, and the hassle associated with IT. Remote employees can capture documents and send them seamlessly. This technology is adaptable to any environment and uses a hotspot without compromising security. If your goal is to organize documents efficiently and securely, IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT is for you. To see a demo or order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
From the Matrix Home Solutions studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We're coming to you live this morning from our friends at Joe Cotton Ford in Carroll Stream, right on North Avenue here.
Yes, it's lovely.
The timing couldn't be more opportune because I'm in the market for a Mustang.
Oh, you are?
I was talking to Tracy about that, so we're seeing what we can do to work out the supply chain issues to get me my Mustang.
Yeah, because you've been renting a Mustang, right?
Yeah, I like it.
Well, I can hear you when I get to the station early. I can hear you coming. Because it's got,
that's
got
that,
a lot of
that's that
V8 engine.
Yeah, that's that American ingenuity.
Yeah. But you like the grip on the road?
I do like the grip on the road. Yeah, I see you've been reading your Road and Track again.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I came in on a wing and a prayer because my left brake calibrator went out again.
Well, why don't you see if Tracy has a car from this century that you could get into?
It is from 2007.
Yeah.
216,000 miles on that bad boy. But yeah, I came in on with the hazards on, ready to tackle the day.
You should see if those kids that like to do the drifting downtown at Madison and Morgan may want to include your car in the parade.
Did you hear about?
You could just total the thing with your insurance company and get money for a new car from Joe Cotton Ford. See how that works?
I would love to see. There was another drag racing Circle of Fire thing at 114th and Halstead, and kids from 14 different states came that were arrested. I mean, that's, it's really popular. It's gaining traction. It's a tourist attraction now.
Right. Well, word is out that Chicagoland is sort of like Fury Road, and you get to do what you want. It's fun for the kids. So
come one, come all.
We'll talk about that a little bit later, but we begin today with the release of the heavily redacted affidavit that happened on Friday afternoon. As the Wall Street Journal opined, if you're going to indict a former president, you better have him dead to rights on something bigger than mishandling documents. And, of course, that's all we really got from what was not redacted, is that the focus was on the handling of classified documents. And it seems to me that based on what a number of individuals have said, we've talked about this too, in terms of the Presidential Records Act and the powers that a president has to classify and declassify information. If it's true what Kash Patel and others have said, Kash Patel, former chief of staff for the Pentagon, at the Pentagon for the Secretary of Defense, that he was there when Trump declassified documents on his way out the door. If these documents that were in the president's possession had been declassified, then I don't really understand why he doesn't just say so, because that would largely end the discussion of any sort of prosecution, no matter how ridiculous it is, no matter how unprecedented it is, and it would be both ridiculous and unprecedented if it was just about documents. But that would end that discussion, and then it would demand the FBI, sooner rather than later, provide a little bit more transparency about what their real motivation is, because it's not about the president's handling of documents, no matter what they say, no matter what we're to glean from the redacted version of the affidavit. You know, all of what tells us, what gives us the real roadmap is, of course, been redacted at this point. But here was President Trump reacting after the affidavit in redacted form was released.
I did nothing wrong. And it's the exact same thing here. We were essentially attacked. We were broken into. They opened up safes. They brought safe crackers in. They brought many, many FBI agents in, all right before the midterms. And all when I have the best poll numbers I've ever had. This is a political attack on our country, and it's a disgrace. And the people understand it. The people understand it. And they could have come in and they could have talked to us and they could have taken whatever they needed. But instead they raided it. They took my passports. They took things that they should have never taken with that are privileged. And it's a disgrace to our country. It really is. It's just, and it just never ends. It's the same people, the same leaks, the same, they leak to the same places, the same people doing the leaking. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. Our country's a wreck.
And it is the same people and the same MO. I think it's difficult to disagree with that. And even, again, people that are not on the same side of the political spectrum as Trump is, or Trump supporters are, like Alan Dershowitz, are saying as much, including with respect to the overly broad language that was included in the affidavit as the portions that were unredacted.
Right. I mean, it was 38 pages, and it was so heavily redacted that what did you learn from reading it? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
So it seems to me there are two areas of inquiry here. One is the law, and two is the application of the law. And the application of the law necessarily includes discretion and necessarily includes a bit of politics, because you're talking about political targets. I thought one of the better interviews I've seen on the topic over the weekend since the affidavit's release was from a former law clerk for Justice Neil Gorsuch. His name is Mike Davis. He was on Fox, and he provided some commentary on both the law and its application. So first, Mike Davis on the law.
This affidavit, heavily redacted affidavit, it further evidences that this home raid on President Trump was unprecedented, it was unnecessary, and it was unlawful. And again, what I've been saying since August 8th, the president has the absolute constitutional authority to declassify anything he wants for any reason he wants, and he doesn't have to get permission from any bureaucrat at the National Archives to do that. And that is confirmed by a 1988 Supreme Court case, Department of the Navy versus Egan. So there goes the underlying potential charge for espionage that's in this, that was in this warrant. Second point, the president has the sole statutory authority to make the determination whether a record is a personal record that belongs to him or a presidential record that goes to the bureaucrats at the National Archives and then almost certainly gets sent back to the president to put in his former library, or the former president's library. And that is confirmed by a 2012 decision by an Obama judge related to Judicial Watch and Tom Fenton's lawsuits against President Clinton related to 8 years of audio tapes in his sock drawer. So what is left? They're looking at obstruction. Well, it is legally impossible for a former president to obstruct investigations into non-crimes. The Justice Department did not have the power to even look at these crimes because it doesn't matter what the evidence shows in this affidavit. No matter what that evidence shows, as a matter of law, it is legally impossible for President Trump to have committed espionage or to have violated some Presidential Records Act. The Presidential Records Act actually contemplates that former presidents have classified records. It doesn't differentiate. Congress gives former presidents office space, secure office space. They give the former president's staff security clearances, Secret Service protection to guard these paper records.
So there's two important things in what Mike Davis had to say there. One is with respect to the law and the law that's being invoked as the basis to substantiate the raid. And that there was, again, if Trump declassified the documents, which is sort of the presumption in his commentary, he declassified the documents he intended to take, then there is no violation of the law there because it was within his power to do so. So it seems like we need a formal answer to that question. Then secondly, even if he did, there's no means to prosecute criminally a violation of the Presidential Records Act. This is something that's negotiated between the president and the bureaucracies. Something else he said, though, too, about the approach. They're trying to get him on obstruction of justice. Right. This could be part of the play. Obstruction, but you legally cannot obstruct justice when it's an investigation into a non-crime.
But but the one line in the affidavit that there's also probable cause to believe that evidence of obstruction will be found on the premises, and premises is in big bold letters.
And that you cannot legally obstruct justice with respect to an investigation into a non-crime. So that's just telling you that their obstruction of justice is a flag that they raised, but unless you have an underlying crime you're investigating, there is no basis for an obstruction of justice charge or investigation. And by the way, this is something they've done before. The same people, the same MO, this memo that was released regarding the Mueller investigation. The Office of Legal Counsel in the memo said March 24th of 2019, go into your Wayback Machine here, to then Attorney General Bill Barr examine the legal case around whether Trump had interfered in Mueller's investigation by firing Comey or seeking to have Mueller removed from the probe. In the report, Mueller declined to weigh in on whether Trump obstructed the investigation, but did not absolve him either. You remember the memo said, the evidence in Mueller's report was, quote, not in our judgment sufficient to support a conclusion beyond a reasonable doubt that the president violated the obstruction of justice statutes. In addition, we believe that certain of the conduct examined by special counsel could not, as a matter of law, support an obstruction charge under the circumstances. Accordingly, there were no constitutional barrier, nor would we recommend under the principles of federal prosecution that you decline to commence such a prosecution. Barr, the day he received that memo, convened a news conference in which he said that charges against Trump would not be pursued. So, giving you the timeline on this, the memo addressed Trump's firing of Comey and the earlier request of the FBI that he drop the case against Michael Flynn. The memo, those events do not establish obstruction of justice, noting that by the time Trump was told by Comey that he was noting at the time that Trump was told by Comey he was not under investigation. But it goes on here. The memo, this is by a nonprofit crew. I'm blanking on what the acronym stands for. The memo sent to Barr presents a breathtakingly generous view of the law and facts for Donald Trump. Trump thanked Crew for working to release the now infamous Mueller memo and yet another Trump prosecution. Crew, the New York Post reporting on this, the particular line here I'm looking for again. The idea was that they knew that the Steele dossier was not substantiated, was a fake. They knew that there was no material evidence of any sort of collusion, but they pursued an obstruction case against Trump regardless. And this these memos that have now been released regarding the Mueller investigation substantiate that they knew there was nothing there, and they pursued an obstruction of justice charge anyway. Or obstruction of justice investigation with the idea of charging the president for obstruction, but they couldn't make out that case. Here again, an investigation into a non-existent crime precludes the possibility of an obstruction of justice charge. So what you saw in the Russian collusion investigation is now, again, only knowing what half of what's in that redacted affidavit, but what you're seeing play out yet again. And all of this against the backdrop of we're here to save our democracy, we're trying to save our democracy. To the extent that, this is the New York Post line I was looking for, but it's words to this effect, the editorial is, to the extent that democracy has been on the line over the last 4 years, it's the Department of Justice and the D.C. Press Corps that are on the opposite side of saving our democracy. The more they protest that they're doing it, the more they're seeking to undermine it with repeated investigations of a particular sort that are driven not by facts and not by the law, but just by Trump hatred and a media that whips people into a frenzy by gaslighting them about these matters. That's what we're seeing based on what we know and based on what you're hearing from people who quite well understand both the law and its application.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll come back to this conversation when Jim Carafano joins us later in the program, but we move to another weekend of violence in Chicago. We were just referring to some of the interesting car theatrics and whatnot, and again, more family members of victims say something has to be done. So what is it? 5:38.
But now into the newsroom we go, and good morning to Mike Scott.
5:33 on AM 560, The Answer, 73 degrees. Countdown to this morning's launch of Artemis 1. Moving forward after NASA engineers were able to troubleshoot a hydrogen leak while refueling the rocket for liftoff.
Team did a fantastic job working through that problem and getting us past it, and now we're moving forward.
Now that's NASA Assistant Launch Manager Jeremy Graber says the fueling issue overnight is combining with a weather delay, and it may force them to push back the launch time window for this morning. The 2-hour window opens up at 7:33 a.m. 3 are dead, including the suspected shooter after a grocery store attack in the central Oregon town of Bend. People in Jackson, Mississippi, grabbing what they can and fleeing the town as record-setting rain is setting off a new round of flooding. The Pearl River predicted to crest at about 35.5 feet. Pakistan reeling from unprecedented flooding. It's left over 1,000 dead there. Senator Bernie Sanders says he believes there is a reasonable chance Democrats will retain control of the Senate in November.
I certainly hope we get more than 50 in the Senate, that we get at least 52, so we can start going forward and protecting working people in a way we have not been able to do up to now.
That's Bernie Sanders, the socialist, on ABC's This Week. A Maryland appeals court says the D.C. sniper must be sentenced again. Lee Boyd Malvo was 17 when he and 41-year-old John Allen Muhammad killed 10 during a 3-week shooting spree in and around Washington, D.C. Muhammad was executed. Malvo sentenced to 6 life terms. Since then, the Supreme Court has ruled that in some cases, life without parole for juvenile offenders violates the 8th Amendment. A woman is dead and a man wounded following a shooting near a police station on Chicago's far south side.
The victim's vehicle then proceeded westbound on Monterey and turned into the driveway of the 22nd District Police Station, where the offending vehicle pulled up to the mouth of the driveway and fired several rounds.
Several bullets hit the police station. The woman later died at a nearby hospital. An investigation underway after a woman was struck and killed yesterday on Chicago's southwest side in the 6400 block of South Cicero. A 5-year-old boy and a man are wounded following a shooting on Chicago's north side. The pair traveling in a vehicle in the 7600 block of North Paulina. Chicago sports. Diamondbacks beat the White Sox 3-2. Brewers over the Cubs 9-7. And the Bears cap off an undefeated preseason with a weekend win over Cleveland 21-20. The news service of Dan and Amy 24/7. Listen now at danamy247.com. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The Sean Thompson Show.
When you realize the magnitude of what is happening, when you realize the definitions that are being forever changed, the waste, the fraud, the abuse, you start to realize the predicament we're in. When you can see this kind of failure not only be legitimized through trickery and fraud, but you see the standards of the American people going down and down and down.
The Sean Thompson Show, weekday afternoons at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Kurt Schlichter. When the left said it wanted to transform America, what it really meant was it wanted to ruin everything. From our decaying cities to our best-in-the-world military, whatever the left gets control of, it destroys. But it isn't too late to turn this around. That's why I wrote my latest book called We'll Be Back, The Fall and Rise of America. This book is my roadmap back to American greatness.
Read Kurt Schlichter's essential new book, We'll Be Back, The Fall and Rise of America. Available wherever books are sold.
In retirement, it's all about income, your money making money, while still controlling your principal. If your portfolio has recently taken a big hit, you're not set up for retirement income. We're Crystal Lake Tax, and that's what we do. We position portfolios to generate retirement income. To learn how it's done, join Amazon best-selling author Michael Stewart for the Retirement Success Blueprint every Sunday afternoon at 2.
Famous conservative quotes presented by Automated Systems.
Winston Churchill wisely stated, "Fear is a reaction. Courage is a decision."
Listen, to all you manufacturing companies out there, I encourage you to call my friend Laz Kulshar from Automated Systems. Automated Systems is a software and system integration company that specializes in companies that are required to meet the FDA numerous compliances and requirements. Automated Systems will create a custom solution for your business that will make your production lines, your facilities, and your plants run more efficiently. Imagine less downtime, more speed, and fewer rejects. From Fortune 500 companies to garage startups, ASI delivers solutions for your toughest automation challenges. If you own a business and need design or process engineering or testing, I encourage you to call my friend Laz at Automated Systems. Call 844-HIRE-ASI or visit hireasi.com. That's 844-HIRE-ASI or online at hireasi.com.
Fellas, still need to get your annual health exam? I personally recommend my friends at Low T Center to get your complete health assessment, where they check all of your levels. It's typically completely covered by most health insurance, and if you don't have insurance, it's less than $100 for a full lab panel and an office visit with their medical provider to give you a complete health assessment. Low T Center specializes in men's health, making it quick and easy, even verifying your insurance. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book online. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Would you like a cleaning product that can be used in the garage, the laundry, and the kitchen? That'll save space in your cabinet? To learn more, visit simplegreen.com.
5:39, let's get an update on the roads in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, and we'll start in Hampshire this morning. There's a bad accident at Briar Hill Road in Dietrich. It's a truck versus a pole. Now, wires are down, and that's what's causing the delays as they try to remove the wires and clean that scene. And crews are on the scene right now. We'll keep an eye on that for you as we watch I-80 begin to jam up westbound. Right at the Veterans Memorial Toll Road, I-355, accident right shoulder involving a semi. Tri-State, southbound, right at Hallstade, there's an entrance ramp partially blocked after an accident involving a semi just after the toll booth. Right now, it's blocking two left-hand lanes. Stevenson inbound. Accident has been relocated off the main line, off to the Throop Accident Investigation Site, so things are clearing up nicely there. 24-355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Traffic, a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show at 560theanswer.com/podcast. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. A few thunderstorms, some severe this afternoon, possibly. Otherwise breezy and humid, high 87. Right now, 73. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
From the Matrix Home Solutions studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. America First with Sebastian Gorka, today at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy coming to you live from Joe Cotton Ford and Carol Stream, kicking off our ticket sales for our annual Freedom Family Fest Fun Summit.
It's called the
Palooza
Freedom Summit.
thing. Yeah.
And do you want to make the announcement now, or should we wait till 6:35? Who's going to be at our Freedom Summit?
No, we'll tease it. Wait till 6:35.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm pretty impressed with the lineup, though.
Hold people in suspense.
Ooh.
I wanted to
really
do some cleanup on the topic
Aisle
we were
3.
talking about, affidavit release yesterday, and just be specific about this repetition. We've been here before. It's like the Garcia Vega commercial. Remember the Garcia Vega commercial? He's doing it again.
He's doing it again.
Yeah,
Yes,
this
yes,
is sort of Garland is doing his Mueller impersonation. They are doing it again, which is they have, at least to the extent of what we know right now, they have nothing on the merits, but they're persisting anyway with an obstruction of justice claim. I mean, the Espionage Act stuff is really a stretch, but looking at obstruction of justice. But again, you cannot have a obstruction of justice charge that results from an investigation into a non-crime. You need the predicate crime to be obstructing something. And this, it seems, is what's playing out again. And I say again because of this memo that was released in which the Mueller team essentially concedes they had come up empty-handed with respect to Russian collusion. But they still persisted.
Right.
And
because they can't admit that they're wrong, and they can't admit that they made a mistake, and they can't admit that this is a witch hunt.
Steele dossier was just speculative gossip based on the researcher, Christopher Steele, and his pals. The FBI knew it, but acted on the bogus information anyway, moved in part by the hysteria the media were creating on the basis of leaks from Democrat government insiders. We're seeing this play out again, too. And the line from the New York Post editorial I was searching for, democracy was at stake, referencing the Mueller investigation. But the press and the relevant parts of justice were on the wrong side. No wonder no one except the willfully deceived trusts them anymore. And that's where things are at as it pertains to Garland. Now, there are things that we don't know, but the early indications suggest that the skeptics that, number one, this was necessary, number two, that there were crimes committed, and number three, that the FBI and the DOJ are being less than genuine in what they detailed as their interest in these documents. It wasn't about being charged by some bureaucrat at the National Archives to preserve classified information. This is a fishing expedition related to 1/6. That supposition. Here's another piece of supposition. The documents that the FBI and DOJ actually want that have nothing to do with whether the information, the classified information in his possession was declassified, whether it's being properly handled or not. Take a listen to what Mike Davis, this former clerk for Justice Neil Gorsuch, had to say, what his speculation is.
The librarians are asking for overdue copies of the overdue books that are not overdue. The president has the legal right to declassify these records and keep a personal copy. And then they said that the Attorney General didn't personally authorize this raid. He absolutely did. They also said that the Biden White House was not involved with this raid. They absolutely were, because White House Deputy Counsel to the President, Jonathan Su, had to relay that President Biden waived President Trump's assertion of executive privilege, which paved the way for this raid. And so President Biden was absolutely involved in this raid, and so were his officials in the Biden White House counsel's office, Jonathan Su. This is a political hit on a former president. And there's no allegation that any of these records got into the wrong hands, unlike Hillary Clinton's home server, where she had foreign governments hack the most highly classified secrets in our government, and she didn't get an FBI raid. So what was so urgent that caused the Biden Justice Department to go get these records? And I think it's because President Trump declassified and made personal a copy of his copy of the Crossfire Hurricane records, the Russian collusion records, and the Biden Justice Department never made them public because they're so damning on Obama, Hillary Clinton, the FBI, and the intel community.
Now, that's speculation, but it's interesting speculation coming from a sophisticated individual who was a good enough attorney to clerk for Supreme Court Justice. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. That's an alternative theory, or it could be something in addition to trying to get Trump that they're interested in. The particulars that have not been made public about Crossfire Hurricane and the concern that Trump might at some point make them public if he did indeed declassify them, casting the Mueller investigation, the FBI, and the Department of Justice in an even more negative light than they already have cast themselves.
And did you personally, Dan, learn anything from the warrant or from the affidavit that was heavily redacted?
Well, the things that we've discussed.
Right.
That's what you've learned. You start to get a sense of what they're. I mean, it's what they want you to know, and it's what they want you to believe. But here's the thing. Here's the thing about this intel business and classified information and managing intel. Well, it's a curious thing because Mike Turner, who's the ranking Republican on the House Intel Committee, sent a letter to the DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, and Representative Turner was on with Maria Bartiromo over the weekend. And note the letter that he got back from DNI Grimes, the Director of National Intelligence, Ms. Grimes. Take a listen.
Maria, it certainly appears that. When you look at Director Haynes' letter, she says, we'll begin the process, we'll begin to look at these records. And she cites both the records that had been surrendered by President Trump voluntarily and those that were taken in the raid itself. So clearly, she's saying they've not looked at these, they'll go look at them, we'll do an assessment. Well, that means that the FBI is flying alone here. Supposedly, they're looking for classified documents, but they're not talking to anybody who deals with classified information. And that would seem to indicate that this is very, very suspect as to why it would rise to the level of needing to raid. They had other options. They should have taken them.
Yeah, they should have done a subpoena rather than, a warrant and gone through his house. But they said that in January, Trump turned over 700 pages of government records, 184 classified documents with 67 labeled confidential, 92 marked secret, and 25 labeled top secret. But I don't even trust them. They could write down anything they want.
Avril Haines, Director of National Intelligence, essentially confirming, as Turner said, that FBI is not in communication with them.
Oh,
so this is classified information, but you're not checking with DNI. You're not enlisting other agencies that have relevant roles to play with respect to classified information or determining information that they want to keep classified. They don't want to be made public. Concerns they have about documents that could jeopardize national security. So as he said, the FBI is flying alone. Why would the FBI fly alone?
Because there's no there.
Or because they're trying to protect something that they don't want to be made public that has nothing to do with national security and perhaps everything to do with them.
Yes. 312-642-5600. Turnkey.pro answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
Yeah, and Turner also, Representative Turner, in that same interview with Bartiromo, also made this point about the special master, because at the occasion of the release of the affidavit on Friday afternoon, the Trump attorneys renewed their call for a special master to be appointed by the judge to review the documents and make determinations on which documents should be returned to President Trump. And they got a preliminary indication from the judge that he would indeed do that. Listen to Representative Turner.
At least the court saying they have an initial intent to award a special master authority to go over these documents and to return to former President Trump those items that should not have been taken from his home, and also demanding that there be a more inclusive accounting of what was taken. Because as you know, when they released supposedly their inventory, for example, his passports weren't there. So there's a number number of items that we don't even know that they've taken. This went in court of the court saying their preliminary intent is to grant the special master really does show, once again, a court being very skeptical of what the FBI and the Department of Justice is doing.
And now, again, I renew the question, and this was a question I'd put to Trump's lawyers if we could. I mean, not that they would necessarily answer it, but should be put to Trump's lawyers. If you did move to declassify all this information, that, according to legal scholars like Mike Davis and others, that's game, set, match. So why not indicate if you and you've had senior level people in his administration like Kash Patel say that he declassified the documents he intended to take, which was within his authority to do so. So why not make that public and put additional onus on the FBI and the Department of Justice to explain themselves? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636-DA, turnkey.pro text line. Ed in Oak Brook, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hey, Ed.
Hello, Ed.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, I couldn't hear you. I'm catching a train. But anyway, I'd like to know what it cost when the FBI subpoenas you or the Department of Justice. What does it cost an individual? I heard it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars that people got to pay when they got to answer, even when they even got to talk to these guys, because you're not going to show up by yourself. Like, look what they did with Flynn. They actually ruined that particular guy. I honestly believe they're trying to scare anybody from going to help Trump for his next election bid. Plus, there's no penalty for the Department of Justice. There's no penalty for the FBI to do the things that they're doing, even though they're so outrageous. What's the penalty, Dan? There is no penalty for these guys. Anyway,
thanks for the call, Ed. David Lansing.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Regarding just the timing, let's focus on the timing for a minute of this raid to answer the question. This is like a dumpster fire on one side of town while the bank robbers are robbing the bank on the other. There are 4 reasons for this. Number one, the 1-year anniversary of the disaster leaving Afghanistan by Biden. Number 2, to distract from Biden's dictator-like move to forgive loans, bypassing Congress. And then number 3, emerging research showing that the vaccines could cause more damage than not having the vaccines. And then number 4, the big recent one, was when Mark Zuckerberg is trying to walk back. It's ridiculous. Walk back the Hunter Biden laptop story like, yeah, we did that. Oh, we got to improve it in the future. Yet people are still using Facebook, the censor engine of the world, actually. And this is all related to the fall elections coming up to make to put lipstick on the pigs of the Democrats. This timing of this raid, it's right in the middle of all this stuff. And I think it was calculated.
Thanks for the call, David. Appreciate it.
This is so political. Come on. Shouldn't surprise anybody.
Corey Woodlawn.
Morning, Dan. Morning, Amy.
Morning.
Dan, I know you're an attorney, so I did want to ask you this. I heard that this classification system that we have isn't codified by law. I heard that it was only created through executive order. So is Trump off the hook? Basically, he's the executor.
Well, right. I mean, that's the issue is what did he do on his way out the door within his powers to classify and declassify documents? Because as you heard from Mike Davis, the Gorsuch former law clerk, I mean, if he declassified the documents...
Then there's nothing here.
That was well within his power to do
right.
So. He absolutely has the right under Supreme Court decisions to convert copies of classified information to personal collection, so long as he made the determination to declassify them. And then there's all these, bureaucracies, National Archives and so forth that do the record keeping. And there's this back and forth between presidents and the bureaucracies if there's a dispute, which is, one's been going on for the better part of the last year. So that's the thing that's confusing about all this, because it seems you have people saying he did. You have essentially people believing he didn't, thus the raid, and we don't exactly know what he did or didn't do.
But another thing that, on an ancillary issue that people should be very upset is that President Biden lied again. This is him last week.
Mr. President, how much advance notice did you have of the FBI's plan to search Mar-a-Lago?
I didn't have any advance notice. None. Zero. Not one single bit.
Thank you.
Right.
I mean, it's just another lie coming out of the Biden administration and out of his mouth.
So, as you heard from Mike Davis, again, he provided a nice comprehensive review in 4 minutes or less. Garland essentially said, the AG didn't know. Not only did he knew, he authorized it. Number two, Mr. 10%, the big guy, didn't know. Well, he had to know in part because of what Davis said. The Office of Special Counsel in the executive branch had to give DOJ the all clear, their legal opinion, as to whether executive privilege applied to the documents that they sought. Was whether Trump's executive privilege that he asserted applied to the documents that he sought, and they got the opinion they did not, which green-lighted the raid. So don't tell me they didn't know. That is a lie.
And then Biden gets on a plane and with his son Hunter and, go off on vacation.
And here again, why are you lying about things that you would otherwise are saying publicly are well within the bounds and national security and democracy's at stake, and yet at every turn you're lying or committing, sins of omission with respect to the bases for the behavior. I mean, if you lie, that tends to impugn your credibility, and that's what we're getting. Larry and Bartlett.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Dan, I am certainly not a lawyer. I'm just wondering, if indeed all those documents were declassified, does that open them up for access to the media through the Freedom of Information Act?
It makes them more accessible. It's not. Thanks for the call, Larry. It's not 100%. There are other legal exceptions to FOIA, but it certainly makes them more accessible. Marvin, Burlington, Wisconsin.
Good morning. I think this is really a second lesson for the American people, that it's us out here against people in Washington and Washington bureaucrats. I mean, second time around, we better wake up. And I think this time they are so desperate to damage Trump in any way they can, because he's had 4 years of experience, and he knows where maybe some of the skeletons lie now. And if he does actually win, he will really clean house. They won't be able to get say a Michael Flynn type person that's in his administration out so easily. Not that it was easy, but I think that he's going to, if we're all fortunate enough for him to get in, I think he'll really clean house this time. And if he, and I think a lot of Republicans on the Republican side, so-called Trump supporters, they're pretty silent. I think they're coward and quite frightened of the FBI. They see what they're doing to an ex-president, and they're worried about it for themselves.
Thanks, Marvin. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
When you're serious about your concealed carry training and education and are ready to learn from an active police officer with a teaching degree, check out Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. You'll learn safe, responsible firearm use, home defense planning, conflict avoidance, situational awareness, and how to remain physically, morally, and financially safe in the event you must use your firearm in self-defense or the defense of another. Weekday and weekend classes available.
I'm Sergeant Gary Carr, police firearms trainer and the owner of Illinois Concealed Carry Training. We'll arm you with what really counts: knowledge and training. All concealed carry curriculums are not created equal. This may be the single most important decision you'll ever make for yourself and your loved ones. Choose between 3 and 16-hour classes that are available both weekdays and weekends. We are your one-stop for concealed carry classes, fingerprints, and legal defense plans.
To register for a class or purchase a self-defense legal service plan, go to icct.us. icct.us.
News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com. On the AM 560 mobile app. Tune in, iHeart, and on Odyssey.
A leak is fueling concern at NASA. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. It had trouble overnight fueling the new moon rocket it's planning to launch this morning.
Our T0 time is currently set for 8:33 a.m., but
it's largely anticipated that that's going to be slipping.
That is from NASA Launch Control. They have a 2-hour window starting at that time, an hour and a half from now, to send the Artemis rocket to the moon. The assistant launch director says they got the leak to an acceptable level, and they still have a chance to launch Artemis carrying a new Orion capsule with 3 test dummies on board instead of astronauts.
As a test mission for an intended return of humans to the moon. Chandler Sherman is an engineer who works on the rocket called Space Launch System.
Artemis mission is the first in a series of missions planned, as you mentioned, to return astronauts to the surface of the moon, where we're looking to...
Is safe.
Fox's Eben Brown. There was a shooting last night in Phoenix, Arizona, near Interstate 17. 2 people were killed. 2 police officers among the 5 wounded. They fired back at the gunman, who was later found dead. Shots also fired in a grocery store in Bend, Oregon, sending shoppers screaming and running.
3 people are dead, including the suspect. It happened late Sunday at a shopping center. Police report the gunman started firing in the parking lot before then entering a Safeway grocery store and opened fire again, killing 2 people. It's still unclear how the shooter died, but initial reports indicate police did not fire any shots at the scene.
Fox's Jackie Ibanez. International aid is arriving in Pakistan, including tents and food, after flooding that's left more than 1,000 people dead and millions displaced from their homes. Kids are getting up, getting ready to go to school today in Columbus, Ohio, after teachers approved a new contract ending a strike that had students starting the year remotely last week. America's listening to Fox News.
73 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A woman dead, a man wounded following a shooting near a police station on Chicago's far south side. It happened as police say victims were traveling in a car last night on South Vincennes Avenue near Monterey Avenue when another vehicle began chasing them and firing shots.
The victim's vehicle then proceeded westbound on Monterey and turned into the driveway of the 22nd District Police Station, where the offending vehicle pulled up to the mouth of the driveway and fired several rounds.
Several of those bullets hit the police station. The woman died at a nearby hospital with multiple gunshot wounds. Chicago's unofficial weekend tally: 8 killed, 27 wounded, including a woman shot on a CTA Red Line train in the Loop on Saturday morning. No one in custody following a deadly shooting inside a Dalton church yesterday. An investigation is underway after a woman was struck and killed by a vehicle on the southwest side in the 6400 block of South Cicero. A 5-year-old boy and a man wounded following a shooting on Chicago's north side. The pair traveling in a vehicle yesterday in the 7600 block of North Paulina. Police have no suspects. An investigation continues after one person was killed in a skydiving accident near Skydive Chicago in LaSalle County over the weekend. The name of that victim has not been released. One man is in jail following a deadly Northwest Indiana wreck on the interstate near Gary. Indiana State Police say the crash happened around 1 a.m. yesterday on 8094 eastbound when a Camaro smashed into another vehicle, then slammed into the median barrier before hitting another vehicle. 2 inside that Camaro died. State police are not saying just why they arrested a man from Crown Point. Diamondbacks beat the White Sox 3-2. Brewers over the Cubs 9-7. Bears now get ready for the NFL regular season after a preseason win over the Browns. Tough day tomorrow as it is NFL cutdown day when they pare down the rosters to 53. The news, a service of Salem Surround. Go to surroundchicago.com today. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager sees Trump derangement syndrome everywhere.
This is what gives you moral strength? Donald Trump's evil? But he was president 4 years. What did he do bad? Don't tell me he doesn't like women. Don't tell me he's a liar. Tell me what he did bad. They can't. There's a sickness in your soul. There is.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, this is Carl Amari.
I'm Lisa Wolf. Join us every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. for all things entertainment on Hollywood 360.
If you love classic radio shows, The Shadow, Jack Benny, The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, and many more, We have them for you on Hollywood 360.
We'll also present trivia contests with prizes, showbiz news, celebrity interviews, games, and movie reviews.
So don't miss Hollywood 360 every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
This is it, your last chance to win $5,000 a week forever from Publishers Clearinghouse. Today is the last day to enter. Win $5,000 a week for your life. Then after that, someone you choose gets $5,000 a week for their life. But you must enter at PCH.com before it's too late. Hurry, today's the final day to enter, so go to PCH.com now. $5,000 a week forever. Don't miss your last chance to win it this August 31st. Enter now at PCH.com. Entries due 8/29. No purchase necessary. Void or prohibited.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Remember to eat your fruits and vegetables. We all remember these words from our childhood. But how does anyone have time to buy, store, prepare, and eat enough healthy fruits and vegetables in our busy lives? Balance of Nature keeps it simple. Our produce is powdered after an advanced vacuum cold process, which stabilizes the maximum nutrient content. The produce is then mixed into a scientifically researched blend designed with your body in mind. Once these blends are encapsulated, they are packaged and sent right to your door, so you can get all the benefits of a colorful variety of fruits and vegetables every day. Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-2468-751. And don't forget to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
.607. Let's get an update on the roads now in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, and this update is a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Listen to AM 560 on your smartphone or mobile device. Text the word app to 64636. Inbound Edens is fine. Kennedy is off and on time right now at 19 into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike inbound 26390 to the old post office. Stevenson, earlier accident inbound cleared out of your way. 27 minutes from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. And the Dan Ryan, 13 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Today, clouds breezy and humid. Couple of thunderstorms could be severe this afternoon. Downpours, hail, and damaging wind, high 87. Thunderstorm around this evening, otherwise clearing tonight, low 65. And then sunny, breezy day tomorrow, the high 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
73 at O'Hare. Next news, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
From the Matrix Home Solutions Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Dan and Amy, we're coming to you live this morning from Joe Cotton Ford in scenic Carroll Stream, right there on North Avenue in Gary.
Where cars are not plentiful. No,
Well,
I'm kidding.
they got the same problem as every car dealership.
Yeah, no, there
right?
are vehicles here that are for sale, but it's remember when there used to be vehicles on the showroom here?
We'll talk to our friend Tracy Kahn at the bottom of the hour, and we'll also announce the lineup for our
Yes.
Freedom Palooza Fest thing that happens in October or November. Or
It's
something.
called Freedom Summit,
Yeah.
and it takes place Saturday, November 5th at the Westin Chicago Northwest
Oh, right before
in
the election.
Itasca.
Yeah.
Yes, but
it's a pre-election rally, November 5th, 3 days before the election.
trust me, you diehard AM 560ers are going to absolutely love the lineup, which we'll announce at 6:36.
So over the weekend, we had more Rush videos, Paul Abdul style. It started at Canal and Cermak in Pilsen, and then the Drifters moved over to Madison and Morgan. ABC 7 had the story.
Hours after that, a chaotic confrontation caught on video at Canal and Cermak in the Pilsen neighborhood, where police tried to respond to reports of more drifting and drag racing, instead leaving 6 squad vehicles pummeled by heavy objects.
You really have to see the video. Radio doesn't do it justice because a police squad pulls up and then the barbarians run at the police with sticks, banging the cruisers and throwing, foreign objects, as it were, at the cars.
It's lawlessness, really. It's so sickening to watch.
It's a Mad Max movie every weekend in Chicago. It's good times. And then, as I said, they moved over to Madison and Morgan. And that awoke some of these slumbering West Loop Trixies.
Police say some people in that same group were involved in a street takeover at Madison and Morgan in the West Loop.
And when the cops tried to break it up, it moved over to where I live, which is close to Racine and Washington.
We're in the part of a town that's pretty sleepy at night, and so for this kind of commotion to happen at 2 a.m., we knew something was up.
Well, I hope that leadership will step in and actually hold people accountable.
Oh, isn't she sweet? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
They are precious at that age.
They're so sweet.
Where they,
newbies.
Where they believe in this concept called accountability in the city of Chicago.
Also, too, real quick, a 5-year-old boy was shot in the head Saturday in the 7600 block of North Paulina. Sunday night, last night, but in broad daylight at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Just another car drove up, shot him, and shot his 25-year-old relative who was driving the car. And he's in critical condition, but he's in kindergarten. My God.
His grandfather, Tervalon Sargent, spoke about the shooting of his 5-year-old grandson. You've heard this plaintiff wail before.
All these kids want to do is go to school and play, and they can't even do that. And that's messed up. They can't even do that, and it just keep happening. It just keep happening. We got to do something. We got to do something. We got to do something.
Well, I hope that leadership will step in and actually hold people accountable.
So far this year, 238 minors have been shot in Chicago, with 32 killed. Wrap your head around 238 kids, 18 and younger, have been shot.
We got to do something. We got to do something. We got to do something. And I'm not picking on that grieving grandfather, and I'm not even picking on the West Loop Trixies. Hopefully leadership will step in and provide some sort of accountability. You know, I wish this was more complicated than it actually is. I wish this, required some deep thinking and a process of community engagement and a blue ribbon commission and all the stakeholders getting around the same table to hash it out. I wish it required all of that, because then there would be some sort of explanation about why this violence is so intractable. But it doesn't require that. It requires simple things, like turning out the people in charge as soon as you have your next opportunity. And in Chicago, that would be in February at the state level, because the state is party to this lawlessness. Pritzker and Democrats at the state level obviously are party to this lawlessness, and they want to extend the culture of Chicago, the lawlessness culture, statewide with the Safety Act, as we talked about and will continue to talk about. So you have opportunities in November and in February, and you also have opportunities in terms of doing something. You also have opportunities at the local level on a daily basis to pressure these defund police, decarcerate inmates, non-prosecution acolytes, whether they're actual prosecutors like a Kim Foxx, or they're just their fellow travelers that have kept them in office to this point, to make the argument. to make the argument, because otherwise you're going to get more of what you have heard for, well, at least the last 3 years under this political ruling class, this latest iteration of the Chicago Democrat Socialist Identitarian political ruling class. You're going to get the same things. You're going to get those in charge suggesting they're being victimized by boogeymen that you can't see, by white conservatives in the suburbs and so forth, people like me.
Yeah, you.
Yeah, this is
spreading misinformation. I'm spreading misinformation, and you're the boogeyman.
So when you cannot defend your job performance and you don't want people to focus on what's happening on your watch, what do? You create a boogeyman to run against, which is what they do. So we have to do something. We have to do something. We have to do something. He who wants to change conditions must propagate a new mentality, not merely a new institution. That's Ludwig von Mises, but the admonition is what's applicable here. You need to start thinking differently about your city and your state. Not most of our listeners, but you know, those within your social circles. We don't live in silos. It's not like you don't know people who maybe not Lightfoot or Fox, but maybe, but are either ill-informed and don't know what to say and don't want to defend anybody, or they're even more ill-informed and they're defending the political ruling class that has visited these plagues upon the city and the state.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
And it is sort of the funniest thing. It would seem to be the simplest thing to just think a little bit differently, to hold people in charge accountable by turning them out. It would seem to be the simplest thing, but it turns out to be the most difficult, as we've seen. This is Kim Foxx, by the way, back in June.
Mm-hmm.
Kim Foxx gave a sort of kind of a commencement address, if you will. This is at Statesville. This was at North Park University, but it was for Stateville inmates. Stateville is a max security prison
in Joliet, right?
Crest Hill now, but yeah. So these are hardened criminals. The North Park College has a school of restorative arts.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And so Kim Foxx showed up on the occasion of a couple of a dozen inmates at Stateville who earned a master's degree in Christian ministry. Okay, it's fine. I mean, I'm glad they're being productive, I suppose. But listen to what Fox had to say upon,
during
in her,
speech.
Commencement of sorts.
I'm here today because, as I tell people, I have more in common with you than the lawyers that work for me. I have more in common with you because I've walked the path that you have walked, and there is no judgment of how we land where we land. It is God's grace.
What the heck is that?
So,
oh my goodness!
Because this is sort of the same thing you heard from Lightfoot last week when she was going after my television ad. So, because Kim Foxx grew up in Cabrini Green, and despite the fact that she essentially followed the straight and narrow to get a law degree and to get involved in government and then to be elected United States Attorney.
Commendable.
Despite that, but because she grew up in Cabrini Green, she has more in common with convicted, you're in Stateville, violent felons than she does the lawyers in her office. Well, maybe that starts to explain why she takes the approach she takes to prosecuting violent criminals. That to me is an incredible. This audio just became known to me, at least. That's an incredible statement. But it's indicative of the mentality. I'm a victim. You're a victim. We're victims of what, you ask? Institutional racism.
She wants to clear the prisons.
You're the Cook County State's Attorney. How are you a victim of institutional racism? You're at the top of an institution. Generations and generations of institutional racism that we need to root out from the ground up. I have more in common with you convicted felons. And if somebody's turning their life around, turning to Christ and trying to do something productive with the idea of getting out and being a productive citizen and speaking to other ex-offenders, like John Ponder and other people we've had on the show who've done exactly the same, that's great. Okay, I'm all for that. I'm all for redemption. But that victimology that you just heard from Kim Foxx, I have more in common with you who made choices. You didn't wind up where you were based on a lottery. She grew up in Cabrini Green. A lot of those inmates at Stateville probably grew up in tough circumstances too. But most of the people who grow up in tough circumstances don't end up behind bars for violent crimes, including Kim Foxx. So no, actually, you were responsible for the crimes you committed, and now what you want to do with the rest of your life is your choice. But how Kim Foxx, who made most of the right choices, in terms of being law-abiding, getting an education, and so forth, and she has more in common with violent criminals, that really tells you something about the mentality and just how poisonous it is. That statement informs the decision she makes as Cook County State's attorney. So you want to figure, you can't explain what's happening, why she would do this, why she makes the choices she makes. She just told you why. And don't think Lightfoot's any different, because she's not.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
Greg in Jefferson Park.
Hey, good morning, guys. Over the weekend I got together with 3 different friends of mine, all union guys. The elevator guy was all about how, things aren't that bad, and, this new giveaway for the college tuition is good because her niece is going to benefit from it. The guy who teaches in community colleges, who makes part-time job, makes $50,000 a year, got a $45,000 bonus because his kids are so smart. And then the 134 guy who absolutely hates Trump and had a shooting right behind his house doesn't think that crime is all that bad. There's just no talking to some people. I don't know how to get things across to these guys, but I'm getting to the point where, if you're a liberal or a lefty and you buy into this crap and something bad happens as a result of it, I really don't care. I don't want it to happen, but I'm becoming indifferent to these people because they're so freaking stupid that they don't understand, that things are bad and they're going to get a lot worse the way things are going. And they just, they're going to keep voting Democrat. Anyway.
Thanks for the call, Greg. Well, you can't save everybody. If you have somebody that you run into a granite obelisk, then move on. There is this mentality. You saw it in this, still one of my favorite crime blotter stories of the last 6 months. Guy walking in the Loop with his wife, and he gets winged in the hand by a stray bullet. He says, that comes with city living.
I was thinking about him yesterday too when I was on a bike ride. I thought, remember that guy? Just that's just part of living in the city.
If you live in the city, don't be surprised if you take a bullet or two.
And criminals know that that the Safety Act is coming. One guy who was out on bail for credit card and identity theft tried to sexually assault a woman and robbed her in her Loop hotel room. When he went before the judge and she denied him bond, he said, "That's some BS." He yelled that at the judge because he thought he'd get a cash bail or no cash bail or just get out without any slap on the wrist, and he was wrong. She sentenced him. He's bail denied for him. So it's the lack of respect from police and then judges too if they don't get what they want. It's crazy.
There was an op-ed in the Minneapolis Star Tribune that focused on the U.S. attorney there, who's getting involved with the local authorities to combat violent crime, because Minneapolis is becoming Murderapolis again, like it was in the 90s, just as so many major cities are. And one of the things he said that is different about this time than the spike in violent crime in the 90s is exactly that. The idea among the repeat violent offender cohort of citizens, and it's a small cohort, but it's a particularly devastating one, as you see happening in all these major cities at largely the hands of a few. They just don't believe there are going to be consequences for their bad actions. I can do a short stretch in prison and go back and be king of the street. That was literally what one offender in Minneapolis had said. And it's interesting there, too, because this also speaks to accountability at the authority level. So in Minneapolis, you have a U.S. attorney that is working with local authorities to supersize the charges to the federal level so that they do not receive turnstile justice at, say, the county level, go in at 26th and Cal and come out after a short stint, that you're seeing federal charges applied to violent crimes where appropriate. Why don't we have Lori Lightfoot and Kim Foxx calling on, or not even necessarily calling on, just making the overture to work with John Lausch, our U.S. attorney for the Northern District, to do the same thing here? Why isn't that happening? Why? Because he has a different viewpoint on prosecuting violent offenders than those two do. And so they're not going to work together. And that's a leading indicator that separates even from Chicago, even from a liberal city like Minneapolis. That should tell you something about how far afield your Lightfoots and your Foxes and your Pritzkers are from even blue states and big blue cities like Minneapolis. Frank, Arlington Heights.
Good morning. Yeah, well, I hope that Darren Bailey starts getting on the air and expiating on all this, because you know what? This is not a Republican form of government at all, what we have here in Cook County. I mean, you have criminals basically that are just going to be allowed on the streets with with no cash bail. Absolutely ridiculous. What's going on in California with their regulatory board, declaring no cars. All cars have to be electrical vehicles by 2035. The ones that have to be new cars have to be sold in the state.
And now Massachusetts and Massachusetts and Washington State have followed suit.
Well, and Virginia just had a law that they passed it under Northam that said they have to follow California. I mean, our courts are so pusillanimous. John Roberts, he's a defender of the Republic. That's the guy we have. I mean, this is not a Republican form of government in so many locations. Our country is going to hell. Our civilization is going to hell. I don't know how it's going to end with people like this in charge. I really don't. And we better get better candidates, or the candidates better get off the schneid and start getting more aggressive, because the GOP nationally, they don't have any plan to deal with this. I'm afraid they don't even want to win Congress, and they wouldn't even know what to do with it if they did. They just sit there like they did in the past.
Thanks, Frank. Tony and Roselle.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. Is it just me, or is everybody awaiting the emergence of a Bane-like character in this city?
Yeah.
One central goon that would lead the criminals. This is like Fort Apache, the Bronx. This is getting ridiculous. The news is jaw-dropping. And another thing you keep bringing up is the political ruling class.
Although one thing, Tony, you don't need a Bane here. You know why you don't need a Bane here? Because you have Fox and Lightfoot and Pritzker.
Yep. And you keep using the political ruling class, which ironically shares the initials with the People's Republic of China.
Shouldn't Kim Fox
Thanks,
be in
Tony.
jail because she slapped her husband, by the way? Everybody forgot about that.
Well, I mean, she was never going to go to jail. She should have been arrested, based on the law. But
Yeah.
again, the
Where's
law.
the body cam footage we FOIA'd?
The law is enforced based on your politics. David in Wakanda.
Hey, good morning, guys. I know it used to say McCook, but I've lived in Wakanda for 4 years, just a stone's throw from your former colleague, Mr. Walsh. But my comment is, when I see all these savages every day on the news creating havoc in the city, I have zero sympathy for the people of Chicago, because they're going to run right out and re-elect most of these Democrats. Glad I live in Wakanda.
Thanks for the call, David. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. A storm is on the horizon. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for storms and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000, 630-834-6000, or charlesequipment.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Chuck Spaveri, CEO of Spaveri's Custom Counters, a Chicagoland manufacturer of residential and commercial countertops. If there's a local commercial bank who knows how to get a deal done, it's Signature Bank. When my brother and I needed it, Signature Bank came through with a creative financing solution. That's because Signature Bank has experience working with companies like ours, a second-generation, family-owned and operated manufacturer. Our business matters to Signature Bank, and that comes through in every visit and every phone call with their team, right up to the bank's co-founders, Kevin, Mick, and Brian. Spaveri's is proud to bank with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
The much anticipated announcement of our lineup for Freedom Palooza Fest deal thing at 6:36 when we talk to our friend Tracy Kahn, Joe Cotton Ford, where we are broadcasting from live this morning.
Yes, he's one of our sponsors. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
73 degrees, 6:32. Ground teams at Kennedy Space Center trying to overcome weather, delays, and a leak to complete fueling of the new Artemis moon rocket.
The team did a fantastic job working through that problem and getting us past it, and now we're moving forward.
That's Assistant Launch Manager Jeremy Graber. Lightning near Cape Canaveral, forcing a 45-minute delay to fueling operations. Charlie Blackwell Thompson says this morning she will be privileged to be an elite announcing team, a woman for the first time.
For me, it's extremely special to be part of this program and to be given the opportunity as the first woman launch director for NASA.
The 2-hour launch window for the uncrewed test flight of Artemis 1 starts at about 7:33 a.m. The head of the UN's nuclear watchdog says the team is heading to Ukraine to inspect the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant site. The IAEA is moving to inspect Europe's biggest nuclear power plant as Russia and Ukraine continue shelling each other in and around that plant. People in Jackson, Mississippi grabbing what they can and leaving as record-setting rain has set off historic new rounds of flooding. A New Mexico man is facing charges of trying to recruit for ISIS. 45-year-old Herman Wilson of Albuquerque was indicted by a federal grand jury. 3 are dead, including the suspected shooter after a grocery store attack in Central Oregon.
Multiple 911 calls came in. As police responded, we had reports of at least one possible or 2 active shooters in the area, and the calls were of shots being fired.
That's Police Chief Mike Krantz. 1 woman is dead, a man wounded following a shooting near a police station on Chicago's far south side.
Victim's vehicle then proceeded westbound on Monterey and turned into the driveway of the 22nd District Police Station, where the offending vehicle pulled up to the mouth of the driveway and fired several rounds.
Several bullets hit the police station. The woman died at a nearby hospital from multiple gunshot wounds. A 5-year-old boy and man wounded following a shooting on Chicago's north side. The pair traveling yesterday in the 7600 block of North Paulina. When someone pulled up and opened fire, the boy was shot in the head. An investigation is underway after 1 person was killed in a skydiving accident near Skydive Chicago in LaSalle County over the weekend. A bicyclist is dead after being struck by a vehicle over the weekend in Chicago's Bridgeport neighborhood. And a 21-year-old Western Michigan University student has died after being struck by a vehicle Saturday near the campus in Kalamazoo. She's been identified as Kaylee Gansberg of Lyle. Diamondbacks beat the White Sox 3-2, while it was a Brewers win over the Cubs 9-7 in Milwaukee. The news is a service of the Salem Podcast Network. Subscribe free, salempodcastnetwork.com. We'll have a check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher wants us to prepare.
We have a battle ahead of us. We have turmoil in America. We've got to be ready to fight, not physically, but at the ballot box, with ideas, with logic, with wisdom, with clarity. I know this.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
If your money is not earning at least 4% tax deferred, you need to call Professional Life and Casualty. They're offering a 4% APR on new funds deposited into your annuity, traditional IRA, or Roth IRA accounts. Rates subject to change. Please call to confirm. With Professional Life and Casualty, you pay no surrender charges, no administrative fees, and no withdrawal fees. Professional Life and Casualty has been providing insurance and annuity products for over 60 years. Visit plcinsurance.com. plcinsurance.com. They'll send you a free guide to tax-deferred no-fee annuity, a 4% APR return on annuity, traditional IRA, or Roth IRA. You pay no surrender charges, no administrative fees, and no withdrawal fees. Only from Professional Life and Casualty. Call 1-800-651-1800. That's 1-800-651-1800. Or online at plcinsurance.com. The following is a paid political announcement.
It will be the summer of joy in Chicago.
Instead, the trio of Pritzker, Lightfoot, and Fox have made this another summer of murder, mayhem, and chaos.
My granddaughter FaceTimed us saying, "Help me, Daddy's shot." And they drove him and they executed him in front of her. And then they shot at her.
Thanks to Governor Pritzker, the lawlessness of Chicago will soon be the law statewide. Pritzker's so-called Safety Act makes Illinois a safe haven for violent criminals. That's why 100 of Illinois' 102 county state's attorneys oppose Pritzker's mandatory release of alleged murderers, kidnappers, and arsonists. Prosecutors like Will County State's Attorney Jim Glasgow.
It's going to be literally the end of days.
And prosecutors like DuPage County State's Attorney Bob Berlin.
We are going to have violent criminals out on the street.
Stop Chicago violence from coming to your town. Vote no on J.B. Pritzker. Paid for by people who play by the rules PAC.
If you're considering protecting your retirement with gold or silver, listen up. Mark Davis here. One company I trust for this, Advantage Gold, the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. They are so passionate about teaching people how to own physical gold and silver. They've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because they really educate their clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. Call 800-900-8000. 800-900-8000. Talk to one of their experts. They can send you a free gold kit along with a free copy of the Wall Street Journal national bestseller, The Great Devaluation. Number again, 800-900-8000. Don't wait any longer. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value, all from Advantage Gold. 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Call Advantage Gold today. 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
6:38, and let's get an update on the roads. We do that, of course, in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. And this update is also a service of the Daybreak Insider podcast. Subscribe free, daybreakinsider.com. Edens is okay, off on time. Kennedy inbound, already a heavy 32 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike inbound 41. From 390 into the old post office, it's a long drive already, and there is an accident inbound on 290 between North Avenue and St. Charles. Stevenson inbound 40 minutes from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan 1995th into the Burns Circle interchange. 394 in the south suburbs. It's on the northbound side between Joe Orr Road and Glenwood Lansing Road. A left lane block due to a 3-vehicle accident. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. We'll have a few thunderstorms today, some heavy this afternoon into the evening. Breezy and mild, high 87 and a low of 65 overnight. 73 right now. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
From the Matrix Home Solutions studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We're coming to you live this morning from Joe Cotton Ford in Carroll Stream here on North Avenue. And we're going to be joined by our friend Tracy Kahn in just a moment. Feel free to stop in North Avenue and Gary.
Great.
And we already had a fan stop in, Amy.
And he left a message for you and
Left a little note because it was while we were broadcasting, which we appreciate. Hi, Dan and Amy. I feel like Casey Kasem.
Yeah.
Going to the mailbag. I'm Ron from Carroll Stream. Nice to see you. Called last week saying that Lightfoot and Pritzker don't get to talk about your PAC unless they're willing to debate you. He's talking about me and my PAC, my little controversy.
They just want you to know that you're loved, Dan.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate Ron
true.
from Carroll Stream stopping by. Encourage people to stop by, maybe pick up a Bronco or two when you do. We're broadcasting live from Joe Cotton Ford because we're launching ticket sales for our annual Freedom Palooza event, which is the Saturday before the November 8th election. So perfect timing. And who do we have this year?
Justin, can you get a drum roll, please? This is a big
There it is.
deal. Larry Elder, Brandon Tatum, and Alex Berenson is going to be joining us. Also, we're going to have a former Trump campaign and podcaster Jenna Ellis will be there.
Campaign attorney.
Yes, sorry. And Catherine Engelbrecht from True the Vote, whose work was recently featured in the film 2000 Mules. And it's all happening on Saturday, November 5th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Additional names are going to be announced in the weeks to come, but if you're waiting to buy your tickets, you may miss out. The event will sell out, and so do not wait. Tickets will be available this Friday at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. But if you're an AM 560 Advantage member, which I didn't know we're in a frequent flyer program here, when you woke up this morning, you received a link to purchase your tickets today in your inbox. So if you're not an AM 560 Advantage member, go to 560theanswer.com/subscribe to sign up.
Yeah, there you go.
And our sponsored, should I go on? I mean, I can go on forever.
I think one of them is Joe Cotton Ford.
True, but Matrix Home Solutions, Automated Systems Incorporated, the Alpha Wealth Group, HealthInsuranceMentors.com, Bishop Hill Winery, Monarch Technology, Oliver the Ornament, the Illinois Concealed Carry Association, the Illinois Family Institute, and Best Dental Group. Also Breakthrough Ideas, Total Clarity Wealth Management. Tell me when you've had enough. Charles Equipment, Lil's Dietary Shop, and Line X of Roselle.
Yeah. Are you impressed with our marketing, Tracy Kahn?
I am. That's
and
terrific.
And you're on there too.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Joe
awesome.
Cotton Ford, Tracy Kahn.
Tracy Kahn, proprietor, the Grand Poobah, the Big Cheese of Joe Cotton Ford. So tell us how it's going in the car biz with the supply chain issues that persist and chip issues. I don't know which is worse.
Neither do I. You hear about one, then you hear about the other. So who knows? We still don't have any inventory. As I told you this morning, we have 33 vehicles for sale on the lot, which we should have about 600 this time of year.
I can't. I mean, the place, it's empty. We used to have cars in the show. I'm part of the team now.
Yeah, well, you are.
Lube at the chassis. We used to have cars in the showroom, and the parking lot was packed. And there's 33 total. How many cars do you normally sell a month?
This time of year, we should be selling 150 to 180. We'll probably sell 68 to 70 this month.
And is it a demand issue or it's completely a supply issue?
No, certainly a supply issue. There's no problem with demand. There's plenty of demand right now, but just can't get the supply.
No, we were talking, and I'm being serious too. This is not some promo. I'm in the market. I want to buy a Mustang, and so of course I want to buy a Mustang from you.
You better.
And
don't cheat on the family.
And we were talking about that, and so so now this is a good season to buy a Mustang. You were telling me, but even if I ordered it today, I'm looking at
2 to 3 months at least. Yeah. this time of year.
Yeah.
But if you ordered it in the spring,
and that's good news
that's
compared
very
to
good
some of
news.
the other vehicles.
Yeah, oh, certainly. Yeah, if you ordered a Bronco right now, you'd be looking at least a year.
Wow.
That's probably the longest of any of them. The other ones that take a long time are the electric vehicles right now. We just can't seem to get enough here, and it's because they're supplying the coasts with most of the electric vehicles.
And so is the chip issue the supply chain issue, or is it more complicated, other variables?
There are other variables with the COVID shutdowns in China that affected a lot of soft trim parts such as dash pads, door handles, armrests, those type of things. And so it's been, it seems like every time we turn around, it's something new.
Well, how are you surviving then?
The Mustang I'm going to buy is going to be $257,000.
Yes.
And then you'll have monthly payments on top of that. We're surviving with service. We pride ourselves on having a very, very good service department. In fact, we were just nominated for the 9th year in a row, the best of the best service for a domestic dealer from the Daily Herald. So,
and you kindly enough took my hobo ride back there.
Yes, we did.
My left rear caliber, I know, is out. I'm already diagnosing the problem.
Yeah,
so you could start there with taking off the
gonna,
left rear
we're
wheel.
Putting your service department to the test by taking in that.
It's great when customers self-diagnose their problems.
Oh, I know exactly. I know exactly what it is.
Oh yeah.
No, and if I'm wrong, come up later in the show. Let us know. No, I know because I'm telling you, I can self-diagnose.
I think I'll be on in a couple hours, so probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yes, absolutely. But I'd love to have you here to diagnose all of the other vehicles that come in too.
I'll take it for a spin around the parking lot. And I'll let you know what's going on.
Do you even need to do that, or can you just sit there?
Just sit there,
as
touch
it pulls in, you can just say, "Yeah, that car needs
the
this."
automotive whisperer."
Exactly.
Amy
Yes.
Jacobson. Yeah. Well, good luck with that mid 19th century car that she's riding around in. But service is making up for the lack of supply.
Yes.
What's the customer base though? Because I know you guys pride yourselves. We've talked about this before when you've had the show on. Somebody's bought 25 cars from you. I mean, generation to generation in this area buy cars from Joe Cotton Ford.
And your father purchased a car from here.
Yeah, he got a Bronco before there were no Broncos available.
That is true.
And so how do you sort of maintain the customer base that wants to get their next generation Ford from you but can't right now?
We take care of them with service, and that's the only thing that we can offer at this
the
point.
Use a little bit longer.
Certainly, yeah, and especially with our fleet customers. We closed our body shop in February of 2020, and we opened up a commercial service center. So now we're working on vehicles up to 52,000 pounds. Which we were not able to do prior to this. And it was the old adage, if you build it, they will come, and they did.
And tell me about, because not only you, but other dealerships are offering people, like they're calling customers and say, hey, we'll buy back your car and then give you X amount of money on top of that.
Yes, absolutely.
This
We
is a
do that
real
all
thing.
the time. We talked about this earlier. Vans are just non-existent right now, and we're actually paying people back more than they paid for vans to trade them in and buy something new, or just not buy anything at all, just sell us your vehicle.
And this is why used car prices are rivaling new car prices in a lot of classes of vehicles.
Yes, absolutely. That's the price of used cars. I've never seen it. I've only been here 41 years, so I'm still a little wet behind the ears.
Yeah.
But I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen a used car that went for more than it went for new.
And and you're seeing that. I'm seeing that too. You just peruse the Auto Trader or whatever, and you're seeing that. It's incredible.
Well, how many used cars do you have for sale right now?
28 right now, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Anything I
for
should
me.
try out?
Yeah, you should think about getting something in the
But
last
minivans
40 years.
are there any minivans for sale anywhere? I've been looking and
Very few. Yeah,
Yes.
they're.
see, I can make money off my hobo.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. You waited just long enough.
Yes. 216,000 miles.
Yeah, they sell it off for parts. The skinny Green New Deal that was passed with the tax incentives and rebates for electric vehicles. So what's the distribution of gas powered to electric powered in your fleet, as it were?
Well, I know in 23 Ford's plan is to build 2 million electric vehicles, which would be as many electric vehicles as they are ICE vehicles, which is the internal combustion engine. So if that happens, I think we're going to have an electric problem because I don't think our grid is set up to handle that many electric vehicles. I mean, you look at the rolling blackouts in California right now, and they're telling people only charge your electric vehicle from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. Well, that's not convenient for everybody.
Yeah, and but are you seeing considerably increased demand because of all the publicity surrounding electric vehicles, or do you still have, sort of your standard issue Ford devotee? If I want an F-150, I want the gas-powered F-150. I want the gas-powered Mustang. I don't want to go EV.
Yes, and the perfect example of that is Saturday we had a customer trade in a 2022 Tesla Model Y for a brand new F-150.
Really?
Yes.
So are there any hybrids?
Yes.
I mean, can you have that 150 hybrid?
I'm driving one. It's right outside the door right there.
That's a hybrid?
That's an F-150 hybrid, yep.
Okay.
I get 26.7 miles to the gallon going to work and back, driving through downtown St. Charles twice a day.
And if you buy it today, Amy, he'll throw in the rust proofing.
Well, see,
on that aluminum vehicle.
What can I do to get you in that car today? Let me go talk to my manager.
Yeah.
Wait a second, you can't do that. You're the guy. You've got nobody to talk to.
I don't.
So
but now you're
not going to run that
t-shirts
game on
and
us.
hats. You're in the.
Well, that's for the Broncos. The Bronco is more of a cult than it is a vehicle. And so September 18th,
here?
you should come out. We're going to have a Bronco rally. We're going to leave from here, and we're going to stop 3 or 4 places on our way to Rocky Glen Park in Rockford, which is an off-road place where we can take our Broncos and go off-road and
I'll borrow
rock
Larry's.
crawl.
I'll borrow
There
your
you go.
dad.
Yes, absolutely.
Well,
That's
Larry,
perfect.
let me, and I'll give him my cat and take his Bronco.
Yeah.
This is working out so
Hold
well.
on. I see a joke there.
Yeah. I'm not touching that. So this is going to be like the Broncos like doing an annual pilgrimage to Sturgis. If you're a motorcycle guy, that's what's going on with the Broncos.
Absolutely, yes. And there are 4 places around the country where they do this thing called the Bronco Off-Rodeo, where you get to take Ford's Broncos, not even your own. You get to take Ford's Broncos up into the mountains and rock crawl and go up steep grades and turn it without ever moving and kind of like a skid steer.
See, that's the nice thing about the Mustang. If I get the Mustang, I can just, to do the off-roading, to do the fun stuff. I just go down to the West Loop, and I can do that any night.
Any weekend.
And then do the whole, Rebel Without a Cause thing down there.
Well, I think you should order your Mustang today. Like put money down and get it if it's going to take 2 to 3 months, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
To get it?
Yes.
What color do you want?
When I get my Bronco broken in, though, I'm going to go to the West Loop so I can see if I can make it through those potholes.
Exactly.
And climb back out.
Yeah, exactly. That would be some off-roading.
Yes.
If you can get it in and out of those craters they call potholes in the city of Chicago. All right, he is Tracy Kahn. He is the proprietor of Joe Cotton Ford here in Carroll Stream, North Avenue in Gary. If you want to stop by, pick up a car, Amy and I are probably going to be removing 2 from the lot or from the those available to order here before the morning is out. And also, thank you as always for supporting Freedom Summit and having the courage to be public about your commitment to free minds and free markets and in our fair city and state, so we appreciate that.
Well, I love doing this, and I don't know how many years in a row, 6, 7 years in a row that we've done this, and you guys have been coming here to kick off the Freedom Summit. So it's always a great day.
And we never not had. We even during the pandemic, we went to free states. Remember when we went to Lake Geneva?
Yeah. Yes,
that was fun at the Abbey to keep it going. So again, if you want to buy tickets, they'll be available this Friday at freedomsummitchicago.com. The lineup includes Larry Elder, Brandon Tatum, Alex Berenson, and many, many more. So, again, freedomsummitchicago.com.
Tracy Kahn, thanks so much. Dan and Amy coming to you live from Joe Cotton Ford and Carroll Stream, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
If you're considering protecting your retirement with gold or silver, listen up. Mark Davis here. One company I trust for this, Advantage Gold, the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. They've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because they really educate their clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. Call 800-900-8000, 800-900-8000. Talk to one of their experts. They can send you a free gold kit along with a free copy of the Wall Street Journal national bestseller, The Great Devaluation. Number again, 800-900-8000. Don't wait any longer. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value, all from Advantage Gold. 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Call Advantage Gold today. 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Call 800-900-8000.
Hey, we just got a delivery here from Dominic from Caputo's. It is a massive cannoli with our images forever emblazoned.
And we're gonna tweet that out.
We'll now live forever on that cannoli.
I know.
This is great.
Wow,
All right, we'll tell you more about the cannoli after a while, because this is not a great segue to talk about weight loss. But is your summer weight loss plan not working as well as you'd hoped? Well, hope is not a strategy. This is what you need to do. Contact njdiet.com today, and they'll contractually guarantee you will lose 20 to 40 plus pounds in only 40 days. Just go to njdiet.com. Their program starts with bioenergetically personalized supplements based on your saliva, hair, and blood work. Then NJ Diet uses DNA testing to create your ideal diet plan and workout regimen to help you keep it off. Not sure if you can do it alone? NJ Diet is with you every step of the way. You're fully monitored by their certified staff to make sure you're burning fat and not just losing water. You'll also get the doctor's personal email and phone number. NJ Diet is committed to you keeping the weight off. It's all natural. No shots, no hormones, no surgery, and no prepackaged foods. Drop the weight and take the cannoli. Locations close by in Oak Brook and Skokie, or worldwide with live online video consultations. Call today, 855-5-NJ-DIET, or log on to njdiet.com. Go to njdiet.com and lose the weight for good.
International travel is open again, and now is the perfect time for a trip to Israel. Spend 10 extraordinary days in the Holy Land this November with your hosts Sebastian Gorka and Dinesh D'Souza, along with our trusted travel partner, Inspiration Cruises and Tours. Collect remarkable memories, enjoy picturesque and unforgettable places on a trip to Israel that will change you forever. Reserve your spot today at standwithisraeltour.com. Standwithisraeltour.com.
You can't live forever, but your legacy can. At Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, they've helped families set their legacies in stone for over 180 years. With interest-free financing and low monthly payments, now is the time to set your final wishes in place. Visit CatholicCemeteryChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 today to schedule a free consultation.
Hi, this is Carl Amari.
I'm Lisa Wolf. Join us every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. for all things entertainment on Hollywood 360.
If you love classic radio shows, The Shadow, Jack Benny, The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, and many more, we have them for you on Hollywood 360.
We'll also present trivia contests with prizes, showbiz news, celebrity interviews, games, and movie reviews.
So don't miss Hollywood 360 every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
The dollar is in grave danger as Russia and China recruit more nations into their anti-dollar alliance known as BRICS. If this continues, how much longer until the dollar is worthless? Stephen K. Bannon here. I urge you to get Birch Gold's free info kit on sheltering your savings with a gold IRA. To get your free copy, text the word SHELTER to 989898. With inflation continuing to explode, it's critical you take action today. Text SHELTER to 989898 right now.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
AM 560.
The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll build off the conversation we were having earlier about the affidavit, the redacted affidavit release on Friday when Andy McCarthy, former federal prosecutor, joins us at 7:07.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
A woman killed, a man wounded in a shooting outside a police station. 7 o'clock, WIND,
NASA,
Chicago.
You have a problem. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Actually, two of them. A possible crack discovered after a fuel leak on the moon rocket it's hoping to launch this morning.
Still working to get that bleed flow going correctly in engine number 3.
That is from NASA Launch Control. That issue has the countdown on hold right now.
The launch window is supposed to open at 8:33 Eastern Time. It's a 2-hour window, and now it looks like NASA's going to have to move into that window a little bit.
Fox's Jonathan Seri is at the Kennedy Space Center.
The purpose of the Artemis 1 mission is to stress test its most powerful rocket ever, known as the Space Launch System, or SLS, and riding atop it, the Orion spacecraft built by primary NASA contractor Lockheed Martin.
There are no astronauts on board, just 3 test dummies that'll be studied for exposure to radiation and other conditions on the 6-week mission around the moon. A nightmare at a grocery store last night in Bend, Oregon. A shooter showed up.
Multiple 911 calls came in. As police responded, we had reports of at least one possible or 2 active shooters in the area. The calls were of shots being fired.
Police Chief Mike Krantz says the gunman killed 2 people inside the store. Then when officers went in, they found that shooter dead. 2 police officers were wounded in Phoenix, Arizona last night in a shooting near a highway that left 2 people dead and 3 others injured. The gunman was later found dead. Republicans keep criticizing President Biden's plan to forgive up to $20,000 in student loan debt to Americans who qualify. Congressman Byron Donalds tells Fox News Sunday it's illegal.
Congress has not discussed this proposal. Congress has not voted on this proposal.
The White House is pushing back, disputing that, saying the president is using the same authority that Biden and former President Trump used to delay loan repayments. America's listening to Fox News.
73 degrees. 7:02 is our time on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A woman is dead, a man wounded following a shooting near a Chicago police station on the south side. The victims traveling in a car last night on South Vincennes near Monterey Avenue when another vehicle took chase and someone inside opened fire.
The vehicle then proceeded westbound on Monterey and turned into the driveway of the 22nd District Police Station, where the offending vehicle pulled up to the mouth of the driveway and fired several rounds.
Several bullets then hit the police station. A woman died at a nearby hospital with multiple gunshot wounds. No one is in custody, and it follows a deadly shooting inside a Dalton church. Police say 2 were shot yesterday in the gym at New Life Celebration Church of God. A 5-year-old boy and a man wounded following a shooting on Chicago's north side. The pair traveling in a vehicle yesterday in the 7600 block of North Paulina. The boy was shot in the head. Police have no suspects in custody. Winter gas can now be sold in Wisconsin, Illinois, and soon in Michigan because of a refinery fire in northwest Indiana. The EPA has issued a waiver for the 4 Midwest states, including Illinois, following that weekend electrical fire at the refinery in Whiting that knocked the plant offline for a time. An investigation is underway after one person was killed in a skydiving accident near Skydive Chicago in LaSalle County over the weekend. The name of the victim has not been released. Diamondbacks beat the White Sox 3-2 in Chicago. Christian Yelich and the Brew Crew beat the Cubs 9-7 in Milwaukee. Bears capped off an undefeated preseason with a win over the Browns over the weekend. Northwestern's Wildcats and the Fighting Illini opened the college football season, with victories on Saturday. The news is a service of the AM 560 store with T-shirts, hoodies, and more at 560theanswer.com/store. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk wants the GOP to get moving.
Rudy Giuliani was just subpoenaed. Manhattan criminal case. At every level, they're investigating them. Are we investigating them anywhere? they will only intensify their radicalism and further destroy the country the more Republicans sit on their hands.
The Charlie Kirk Show, afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm a physician. I've been in practice for 40 years. And when I started taking this, I don't like medicines, and I probably have taken more people off medicine than I put on it. And so I looked at it, and it's pretty much a natural element. And there's no question in my mind, knowing a lot of patients, that people my age, 60 and over, do not eat right. And they certainly don't get the appropriate nutrients through the vegetables, fruits, and things like that. So I think that it supplies the building blocks that your body normally would use to heal itself. And if you don't get them, you don't heal right. So it's amazing. I mean, I'm doing what I did 2 years ago.
Start your journey to better health. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get free shipping. And don't forget to get 35% off your first preferred order by using discount code CHICAGO.
This is it, your last chance to win $5,000 a week forever from Publishers Clearinghouse. Today is the last day to enter. Win $5,000 a week for your life. Then after that, someone you choose gets $5,000 a week for their life. But you must enter at PCH.com before it's too late. Hurry, today's the final day to enter, so go to PCH.com now. $5,000 a week forever. Don't miss your last chance to win it this August 31st. Enter now at PCH.com. Entries due 8/29. No purchase necessary. Void or prohibited.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Tom Goleb, Chief Financial Officer of Navitas Systems, a leader in the next generation of advanced battery technology and a customer of Signature Bank. A few years ago, I heard Signature Bank on an AM 560 radio ad, just as our previous commercial bank was being acquired. I knew Mick O'Rourke and Kevin Bastuga from a prior enterprise. I valued my relationship with them and the way they worked to earn my trust and my business. So I decided to give Signature Bank a call. They took the time to understand our early stage technology company that has its own set of challenges. Signature Bank took care of us, and now we are satisfied customers.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
.708. Let's get an update on the roads now. We do that, of course, in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. And this look at the roads is a service of Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4. The brand new Galaxy Z Flip 4 is finally here. Capture hands-free content from every angle with Flex Mode. The sleek, foldable design lets you make your device conveniently compact. Visit Samsung.com to order your Galaxy Z Flip 4 today. Inbound Edens, 20 minutes Lake Cook Road into the junction. 43 on the Kennedy inbound from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike inbound, it's an hour from 390 into the old post office. Stevenson, 40 minutes from the Tri-State into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. And the Dan Ryan jams up from the Stevenson all the way into the Burns Circle, 27 minutes in from 95th. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, clouds and humid, breezy day. Thunderstorm or two. Could be severe this afternoon. Downpours, hail, damaging wind, high 87. Thunderstorm this evening, otherwise clearing tonight, low 65. Sunny, breezy, terrific day tomorrow, the high 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
73 at O'Hare. Next news, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
From the Matrix Home Solutions studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. With the release of the redacted affidavit related to the raid on President Trump's Mar-a-Lago compound, you've got varying legal interpretations of what one can interpret from what was made public and what was not made public, and that's about 50-50 with respect to the contents of the 38-page document. Alan Dershowitz, for example, said the affidavit contains sufficient basis for to find probable cause and to issue the warrant, saying that most judges would have issued the warrant based just on what was unredacted, what was disclosed on Friday. Although he, at the same time, he says the affidavit and the appendices seem exceptionally broad and virtually unlimited. So on the one hand, he says, yes, the judge was right and proper to issue the warrant. On the other hand, he is critical of the broadness of the document, and he says the overly broad and inconsistent nature of the affidavit is at odds with the Fourth Amendment's requirement of being particularly describing the place to be searched and the person or things to be seized. So I'm a little confused by Professor Dershowitz. On the one hand, he was right to issue it. On the other hand, it's an unconstitutional violation of President Trump's Fourth Amendment right. So I don't know how you reconcile the two. So that's one question. And the other is the question of classified and declassified, or classified or declassified, because you have representations being made by those in Trump world like Kash Patel that Trump declassified the documents he intended to take with him, which was in his power to do. And if so, then there's no basis for any investigation. This is Mike Davis, who is a law clerk, was a law clerk for Justice Neil Gorsuch. Here was his description over the weekend on Fox of the applicable law and its application.
This affidavit, heavily redacted affidavit, it further evidences that this home raid on President Trump was unprecedented, it was unnecessary, and it was unlawful. And again, what I've been saying since August 8th, the president has the absolute constitutional authority to declassify anything he wants for any reason he wants, and he doesn't have to get permission from any bureaucrat at the National Archives to do that. And that is confirmed by a 1988 Supreme Court case, Department of the Navy versus Egan. So there goes the underlying potential charge for espionage that's in this, that was in this warrant. Second point, the president has the sole statutory authority to make the determination whether a record is a personal record that belongs to him or a presidential record that goes to the bureaucrats at the National Archives and then almost certainly gets sent back to the president to put in his former library, or the former president's library. And that is confirmed by a 2012 decision by an Obama judge related to Judicial Watch and Tom Fenton's lawsuits against President Clinton related to 8 years of audio tapes in his sock drawer. So what is left? They're looking at obstruction. Well, it is legally impossible for a former president to obstruct investigations into non-crimes. The Justice Department did not have the power to even look at these crimes because it doesn't matter what the evidence shows in this affidavit, David. No matter what that evidence shows, as a matter of law, it is legally impossible for President Trump to have committed espionage or to have violated some Presidential Records Act. The Presidential Records Act actually contemplates that former presidents have classified records. It doesn't differentiate. Congress gives former presidents office space, secure office space. They give the former president's staff security clearances, Secret Service protection to guard these paper records.
So there's the recitation of the law, according to Mike Davis, and here's its application.
And there's no allegation that any of these records got into the wrong hands, unlike Hillary Clinton's home server, where she had foreign governments hack the most highly classified secrets in our government, and she didn't get an FBI raid. So what was so urgent that caused the Biden Justice Department to go get these records? And I think it's because President Trump declassified and made personal a copy of his copy of the Crossfire Hurricane records, the Russian collusion records, and the Biden Justice Department never made them public because they're so damning on Obama, Hillary, Clinton, the FBI, and the intel community.
And now that last piece is speculation on behalf of Mike Davis, but on his part. But it is an interesting suggestion that maybe this was damage control by the FBI and DOJ. It's sort of a very public, confusing way to try and do damage control if they wanted to document in President Trump's hands out of his hands before he would make sensitive contents public, especially since he had a year and a half. To unpack all of this, the law and its application with us, pleased to be joined by Andy McCarthy, former Chief Assistant U.S. Attorney in Manhattan, contributing editor at National Review, author of the bestseller Ball of Collusion, The Plot to Rig an Election and Destroy a Presidency. Andy, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So let's start with the affidavit and whether or not, based on what was unredacted, that it was right and proper for the judge to grant the search warrant to raid the compound.
Oh, I don't know if that's, but, look, I think probable cause is a fairly low standard. And, I would say that based on what we knew from the public record, you could probably make probable cause out. So to the extent the affidavit parrots that, sure. But the thing is, you point out the difference between the authority, what triggers granting the warrant, which is like probable cause that a crime was committed and that evidence of the crime will be found there. And then there's a separate issue of what they're allowed to take. The probable cause finding only gets you in the door. The warrant is supposed to be a particularized roadmap of where you're allowed to search and what you're allowed to take. Now, I think the disconnect here is that what gets them in the door is probable cause of mishandling classified documents. And I hear, everything that Mike is saying about the fact that the president has authority to declassify, but that doesn't mean he exercised it. Right.
That seems to me that seems to me the operative question, because you've got, as I mentioned, Kash Patel, former chief of staff for SecDef, and others suggesting he has this power and he declassified any information he intended to take. That's what Kash Patel has said. But Trump hasn't said that. And you would think that if he did that, he would say that and say that's why there's no basis for any of this, is because I used the power I had, and so these concerns about Presidential Records Act and so on and so forth are not germane.
Yeah, well, I had a feeling you might ask me about this today, Dan. So I got out my handy-dandy U.S. code, and in particular the Presidential Records Act, which has a provision in it that I don't think has gotten enough attention, which is Section 2203A, which basically says that the President shall take all steps as may be necessary to assure that the activities, deliberations, decisions, and policies that reflect the performance of the president's duties are adequately documented, and that such records are preserved and maintained. So, I think the courts are going to find that, yes, President Trump had the authority to declassify anything he wanted to, but this idea that he could wave a magic wand over it, or that he could imagine it into declassified status, I don't think is going to hold up in court. I think they're going to look at the Presidential Records Act and say, if he did it, let's see the documentary evidence that he did it, because he's supposed to document the activities and the directives of his presidency.
But
now,
that's very broad language, though, too. I mean, you would have to have your 18 minutes of missing tape, something that's germane, that's not contemplated in some other document. It would have to be like a whole area, it seems to me, of presidential activity that was
I don't really think that's true. I think, I think major decisions and policies clearly have to be documented. And if he made a decision to declassify something, that would be something that would common sense says that ought to be documented.
Well, what if it was Crossfire Hurricane? What if Davis is right?
Well, here's the second thing about that, and I'm going to repeat to you something that I complained about throughout the 4 years of Trump's presidency. I think you and I must have had this conversation 10 times. If there were those kind of documents, why didn't he declassify them?
Right.
We talked about this like a million times. Right. He had the authority. If he had these great smoking gun documents that would have blown Crossfire Hurricane out of the water, he was the one guy in the government who could tell all the other subordinates, I don't care what you think, I'm declassifying this. And he could have put it out. And he never did. So now, a year and a half afterwards, when he had 4 years to do this while he was president, and nobody could have done anything to stop him, now they're going to put it out? Now he's going to do it? Really?
So do you think that this is going to lead to an indictment?
No, I think, Amy, the only way that it makes sense to me that the Justice Department is fighting so hard not to disclose the stuff that's redacted is that they don't intend to prosecute this case. And the reason I say that is, in a normal criminal case, you would normally do the arrests and the searches at the end of an FBI investigation. They're frequently done on the same probable cause affidavit. You never want to have a situation where you're doing a warrant in the middle of an investigation where people can actually go to court and ask for disclosure of it. So this is highly unusual. And the only rational thing I can figure that argues for them trying to withhold all this information is that they're hoping that it never has to be disclosed. If it's a normal criminal case, you have to disclose the underlying affidavit because that's how the discovery rules work. That's how the defense lawyers get to make motions to suppress evidence. So why would they be fighting this like this if in a few weeks they're going to charge him anyway and all this stuff is going to become public? It doesn't make sense to me that they fight this hard for it if they really intended to charge him.
That is an astounding suggestion, though, because and I'm not saying you're wrong. I think you're right. I think they have documents that they want to preserve for whatever reasons, maybe very self-interested, maybe somewhat public interested, but you do what you did. You raid an ex-president's home, and then you have no intention to prosecute him. You don't expect there to be any there. I mean, if it's boomeranging on the FBI and the Department of Justice now, wait until Trump doesn't get indicted, and he can jawbone this issue for the next 18 months leading up to a presidential candidacy. I mean, oh my gosh, the decision to do it this way if you never really had him as a target.
Well, let me suggest two things, Dan. One is I don't want to suggest that I don't think they want to prosecute him on anything, because I'm fairly confident if they can make a January 6th case on him, they would charge him with that. But and by the way, you mentioned the open-ended warrant and how they got to pick up every scrap of records. Obviously, if any of that is relevant to January 6th, and we're talking about the stuff that Trump and his own people packed themselves, so presumably if you were an investigator, you would figure if there's anything relevant to January 6th, this stuff is probably more likely to be relevant than the stuff they already had at the presidential archives. But if they find anything relevant to January 6th, they'll be able to use it.
So what happens?
Let me.
Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say the good faith reason for doing this, and I understand all of the other potential reasons, but the good faith reason for doing this, as we said many times during the Hillary stuff, is the intelligence community, not just the FBI, but the intelligence agencies, whenever there's a potential that highly classified information was mishandled or fell into the wrong hands or could have been seen by the wrong person, they have to do a damage assessment to figure out whether we have informants who are compromised, whether we have, top secret intelligence gathering operations that have been compromised, because if that happens, the bad guys or the hostile countries could be feeding us this information.
Yeah, but
they can't do that competently without the document.
Yeah, but so then why is the FBI not conferring with DNI? Mike Turner, the ranking member of the House Intel Committee from Ohio, was on with Bartiromo yesterday saying he's got a letter from Avril Haines saying essentially that they haven't been in contact with the FBI because she's like looking forward to reviewing the documents and so on and so forth. Why wouldn't this be done in consultation with the FBI? Why would the FBI fly alone?
Because I think the Justice Department is in court now trying to defend the fact that it has a system to make sure that they go through potentially privileged information carefully. So if they said now, if they said publicly that they had given information to the intelligence community, then the court would ask, well, how did you know you were able to do that? How do you know that that's not, no one's ruled that that stuff is not privileged information. And you said here in the warrant that we had this very deliberate, careful process where the filter team was going to go through all of it first before anybody else got to see it to make sure that we're not communicating privileged information. So I think they have to be deliberate about this because they're going to otherwise blow up the position they're trying to take in court.
What did you learn from reading the affidavit?
I really think, Amy, that I learned more from reading the National Archives letter that came out, a couple of days before, because that had the interesting stuff in it. And I thought that, what's in the affidavit that they made public was based on stuff that was already made public by virtue of government disclosures. They're not going to make something public because the Washington Post reports it. But if there's a lot of information in a government document like that National Archivist letter, then they can put that in the warrant because it's already out there. So that letter gave us really what the chronology was up until May 10th, which was pretty illuminating. And then we have a lot of reporting from May 10th on. Like May 11th, they start to issue grand jury subpoenas. June 3rd, they have the meeting down at Mar-a-Lago. June 22nd, evidently, is when they subpoenaed the video camera, the security camera videos. So I think what we're narrowed down to, and I didn't expect to find anything out about this in the warrant or in the affidavit. I figured this would be the redacted stuff. But the question I think everybody wants to know is, obviously something happened between the time they subpoenaed the video on June 22nd and the time they went in for the warrant on August 8th. And what we know about that period of time is they're looking at the surveillance video and the FBI is interviewing Trump staffers and Mar-a-Lago staffers. So in that 5 or 6 week time frame, something obviously came up that convinced them that they had to go in, that there was additional stuff there that needed to be grabbed up, and that there was no way they could be confident they were going to get it voluntarily from former President Trump and his staff. But we don't know what that something was.
Or we don't know if there is a something, frankly.
Right, no, that's fair. Yep.
Yeah.
And who do you think the mole is?
I'm
assuming
assuming something triggered it, but you're right. They could just have, they could be fabricating it. I don't know.
And Mr.
Jared Kushner rejects the idea there was a mole, so we don't know if there's a mole or not.
I don't know.
That's
no,
reporting.
But I think that the mole stuff is way overdone. The FBI was out interviewing people.
Yeah, right.
They interviewed dozens of people, and you tell people, I'd like you to talk to me voluntarily, but I got this here nice grand jury subpoena. If you don't want to talk to me, you can come up to Washington and talk to the grand jury. You're going to get people to talk because they don't want to go. They'd rather with their lawyers present talk to an FBI agent, or even without their lawyer present talk to an FBI agent, than have to make a trip to Washington to go to the grand jury. So you usually get people to talk that way.
If they don't have, Trump putting a honey-do on his honey-do list, plan insurrection on January 6th, then they're going to be in a lot of trouble because you've got an exculpatory memo days before the January 6th that has him talking to SecDef and Milley about making sure there are preparations for Jan 6th. You have what he actually said on that day, which, yes, you can interpret in various different ways, but it certainly was, now's the time for the coup d'etat. I mean, this is, I don't know what they have or what they think they have, but it better be really, really compelling, or this is going to get ratcheted up on FBI and DOJ in ways they cannot anticipate, because apparently they didn't anticipate the fallout from the raid.
Yeah, well, of course not. And the fallout for the raid is a walk on the beach compared to if they charge him. I mean, that's going to be, that'll be an earthquake. But I agree with you on the January 6th to this extent. My personal opinion is, unless you have proof beyond a reasonable doubt that he was involved in a crime of violence, then you shouldn't be talking about charging him. Because to me, everything else they're talking about, like fraud on the government and obstruction of Congress, is really, you have to do two things that are impossible or should be. One is you have to figure out what Trump's state of mind is, and good luck with that, because I think he has convinced himself that there was fraud. And I think John Turley is right when he says, you remember that character from was it Vizzini from the Princess Bride?
Yes.
The Justice Department can't go to the jury and say, it was inconceivable that he didn't know it was fraud.
Yeah.
So
Wally
that's one
Shawn
problem.
is not
The other
available.
problem is,
Right.
Yeah. And the other thing is you have to criminalize a loopy legal theory. And even if you think that John Eastman's legal theory here was the most frivolous thing you'd ever heard of in your life, we don't criminalize legal theories in this country. If we were doing it, when I was a prosecutor, I could have indicted 5 lawyers a day if frivolous legal theories.
And to paraphrase
felony.
Shakespeare, that would have been a good start. But Andy McCarthy, former chief assistant U.S. attorney, Manhattan, contributing editor, National Review, author of the bestseller Ball of Collusion: The Plot to Rig an Election and Destroy a Presidency. Andy, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Have a great week, guys.
You too.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, Bjorn Lomborg from the Copenhagen Consensus Center will join us to explain why the energy transformation, the green energy stagflation, will fail. 7:37.
But now let's head straight into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
73 degrees, 732. Trouble with one of the engines on NASA's newest rocket is threatening today's Artemis 1 test flight. Ground teams at the Kennedy Space Center say engine number 3 is not cooling down properly ahead of ignition. NASA commentator Daryl Nail updates the team's efforts to try and correct the issue.
They ran into another issue. There are 4 RS-25 engines at the bottom of the core stage. All 4 of them bleed out liquid hydrogen when the launch team commands it, as well as liquid oxygen.
There are 4 engines on the SLS rocket that must be chilled before they can burn the supercold fuel of liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. 3 are dead, including the suspected shooter after an attack at a supermarket in Central Oregon in the town of Bend. People in Jackson, Mississippi, grabbing what they can and fleeing their homes. A new round of record-setting flooding, according to reporter Michael Kastner.
The city is still struggling to recover from historic flooding 2 years ago. Now it's bracing for more as the Pearl River is predicted to crest at 35.5 feet this morning. Rising waters could flood as many as 150 homes, and Jackson Mayor Shoke Lumumba has told people to get out now. I'm Michael Kastner.
A woman is dead, a man wounded following a shooting near a police station on Chicago's far south side. It started last night on South Vincennes near Monterey Avenue.
The victim's vehicle then proceeded westbound on Monterey and turned into the driveway of the 22nd District Police Station, where the offending vehicle pulled up to the mouth of the driveway and fired several rounds.
Several bullets hit the police station. The woman died at a nearby hospital. Chicago's unofficial weekend tally, 8 killed, 27 wounded, including a woman shot on a CTA Red Line train in the Loop on Saturday morning. A 5-year-old boy and man wounded following a shooting on Chicago's north side. The boy was shot in the head. Police have no suspects in custody. Winter gas can now be sold in Wisconsin, Illinois, and soon in Michigan because of a refinery fire in northwest Indiana. The EPA issuing the waiver for the 4 Midwest states following the weekend electrical fire at a refinery in Whiting, Indiana. This morning, one person is in custody following a deadly shooting in Champaign. Police say the man was shot and killed in the 700 block of North Neal. An investigation indicated a crowd was gathering in the parking lot of a strip mall. An argument escalated and someone shot the victim. There has been one arrest. Diamondbacks beat the White Sox 3-2. Brewers over the Cubs 9-7. Bears finish the preseason undefeated after a win over the Browns. Tomorrow is cutdown day to the roster limit of 53. The news service of the AM 560 store. Go to 560theanswer.com/store. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum doesn't see support for Cheney.
Are you thinking about running for president?
That's a decision that I'm going to make in the coming months, Savannah. I'm not going to make any announcements here this morning, but it is something that I'm thinking about.
Well, keep thinking. I don't care if it's not good English. Ain't nobody going to vote for Liz Cheney running for president.
The Officer Tatum Show. Weeknights at 7, right before Jay Sekulow at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
Next time you're in the office, look around and see the paper accumulating and the filing cabinets taking up space waiting to be filled. You want the paper gone, but dread the time-consuming scanning process? Well, with IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's never been easier to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud. The need for PCs, cables, and tedious application software is eliminated. Anyone can set this device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money, valuable time, and the hassle associated with IT. Remote employees can capture documents and send them seamlessly. This technology is adaptable to any environment and uses a hotspot without compromising security. If your goal is to organize documents efficiently and securely, IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT is for you. To see a demo or order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
This is it. Your last chance to win $5,000 a week forever from Publishers Clearinghouse. Today is the last day to enter. Win $5,000 a week for your life. Then after that, someone you choose gets $5,000 a week for their life. But you must enter at PCH.com before it's too late. Hurry, today's the final day to enter, so go to PCH.com now. $5,000 a week forever. Don't miss your last chance to win it this August 31st. Enter now at PCH.com. Entries due 8/29. No purchase necessary. Void or prohibited.
Identity theft shows no sign of slowing down. In fact, more than $14 billion stolen last year. That's a criminal success story and a wake-up call. It can be dangerously easy to steal your identity. LifeLock by Norton makes it easy to help protect yourself. If you become a victim, LifeLock will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save 25% on their first year of protection with promo code BACK at LifeLock.com. LifeLock.com, promo code BACK.
Are you growing your manufacturing team this year and need new employees? Turn to Monarch Technical Services. They've been leading the Chicago staffing industry for manufacturing and engineering since 1987. You'll appreciate their vetting process. They meet every candidate in person to interview and test for specific skills. Monarch assesses experience by using Blueprint, Shop Math, part measurement, and CNC program exams. Their quality skills assessor was once a plant manager who worked on manufacturing equipment, so he recognizes who has the skills to fit each job requirement. Monarch Technical now offers a 30-day free trial with any day one direct hire. This allows you to make sure direct hire employees are fitting in before fees are paid. And they have a unique payment option which allows the finder's fee to be paid in 6 equal monthly payments. So if you're growing your manufacturing team this year and searching for exceptional talent, contact Monarch Technical Services at 847-342-1221. That's 847-342-1221. Or online at monarchtechnical.com. That's monarchtechnical.com.
You need to hire fast and hire right. You need Indeed. Their all-in-one hiring platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates efficiently. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
7:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this look at the travel times, a service of the AM 560 Advantage, where you can join today at 560theanswer.com/join. Inbound Edens 23 Lake Cook Road into the junction. Kennedy inbound 55 O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike inbound 75 from 390 into the old post office. Stevenson, it's an hour from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. 48 minutes in from the Tri-State. 28 minutes in on the Dan Ryan from 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. 394, an accident blocking a left-hand lane. 3 vehicles involved. That's northbound 394 between Joe Orr and Glenwood Lansing Road. Tri-State accident on the entrance ramp southbound from Halstead with 2 left lanes blocked. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Few thunderstorms, some severe this afternoon, some this evening. Will be breezy and humid this afternoon, a high of 87. Clearing out after the storms, still humid and a low of 65. 73 right now. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
From the Matrix Home Solutions Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. America First with Sebastian Gorka, today at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy coming to you live from Joe Cotton Ford in Carroll Stream this morning, launching ticket sales for our Freedom Summit. You go to freedomsummit.com or freedompalooza.net or something.
Well, it's actually
tickets.
freedomsummitchicago.com.
There you go, freedomsummitchicago.com.
And the event's going to be Saturday, November 5th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. And the lineup includes Larry Elder, Brandon Tatum, and Alex Berenson. Also, a podcaster and former Trump campaign attorney Jenna Ellis will be there, and Catherine Egelbright from True the Vote, whose work was recently featured in the film 2,000 Mules. And again, it's happening Saturday, November 5th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This event will sell out, so go to freedomsummitchicago.com.
Catherine Engelbrecht.
Engelbrecht.
There, name assassinator. Yeah.
All right.
So how are countries doing that were California before California became California when it came to green energy policy? Well, one of them is Britain, and the news isn't great if you're one of the plebes in the UK. Household energy bills were expected to rise 40% this autumn, but on Friday, the government regulator announced they'll leap 80% in a single bound. That follows a 54% rise in April and brings the average household's annual bill in the UK to about $4,200, which is about 10% of the median household income in Britain. It gives you a sense of the growing proportion of your household budget that will be consumed by inefficient energy, basically, is what I would say. And remember, this is not just inefficient, it's also ineffectual. You're not getting the same level of power, are you? Thus the need, as we talked about the other week, in Spain to mandate that Spaniards not turn their air conditioning on such that it cools a room below 80 degrees. That's the sort of rationing that happens when you have green energy ideologues in charge who are not pragmatic about how quickly you can incorporate new forms of energy without manifestly reducing the quality of life for their constituents and a lot of other people the world over. And this has been a regular topic for Bjorn Lomborg, as he is perhaps the most prominent advocate for poor people around the world that struggle to get electricity, that struggle to have power to enjoy the creature comforts that we have in the West, and the policies in the West further eroding the possibility of the poorest among us around the world to enjoy the quality of life that we enjoy in the West. So it's not just inefficient, it's not just ineffectual, I would argue it's moral. Bjorn Lomborg is the president of the Copenhagen Consensus think tank. He's also the author of False Alarm: How Climate Change Panic Costs Us Trillions, Hurts the Poor, and Fails to Fix the Planet. Bjorn, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dan. Hey, Amy. It's great to be here.
So it's not just the poor and those in the developing world. It's also middle-income households in Britain and California that are going to start feeling like they're the poor in the developing world.
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, on the poor, it's important to recognize it's not because they need creature comforts, right? It's because they need to get out of poverty. They need to stop dying from all kinds of very, very simply preventable both diseases and heat and cold deaths and everything else. But you're absolutely right. Increasingly, much of the middle class in the rich world is starting to realize, this is going to be very expensive. The fundamental problem here is that since the Paris Agreement in 2015, almost all politicians, bar Trump and a few others, have been pushing for stronger and stronger arguments against fossil fuels. Not surprisingly, the fossil fuel industry has responded by saying, all right, we're not going to invest in fossil fuels. So we've seen a drop of more than half of the investment in fossil fuels. Now, if we're still going to use almost the same amount of fossil fuels, which of course we were in 2021 and 2022, that simply means the price goes through the roof. Now, Ukraine is making this even worse, but let's not forget that the fundamental problem is we've decided, no, we can go all green way before we could. And that is what's causing a lot of this hurt. And as you talked about in the UK, half of the UK is now likely to become energy poor. This is a terrible situation. And of course, it's the kind of situation that'll unseat a lot of governments in Europe.
Yeah. So the Inflation Reduction Act doesn't do anything to reduce inflation, but how does it reduce anything with climate change, if anything at all?
So a lot of people are really excited about the Inflation Reduction Act because it supposedly does a lot for climate. But they actually also released, so what are the numbers? And I just plug them in to the UN standard climate model that actually tells us how much the temperature is going to be, by the end of the century. And you can just plug it in with and without the Inflation Reduction Act. It turns out that for our $369 billion that goes to climate in this bill, you end up with a temperature that is changed. That is a temperature rise that'll be less than 3/100th of a degree lower by the end of the century. You won't be able to measure it. And remember, this is the very, very optimistic and somewhat implausibly optimistic outcome. More likely, it'll be less than 1/1000th of 1 degree Fahrenheit. That's a terrible spend. You're basically spending an enormous amount of money, and we won't be able to measure the impact even in 100 years.
Well, there's something else to this folly, too. I mean, there's so many layers to it. But one of the things is if you look at government models that simulate energy consumption, what you find is absent a carbon tax on fossil fuels, the incentive to consume green energy doesn't reduce consumption of fossil fuels. It just increases energy consumption overall. So the only way you actually decrease demand for fossil fuels is to do the one thing, and I'm not advocating, but I'm just talking economics here, the one thing that politicians won't do because it's too politically damaging, which is to impose a carbon tax, particularly when you've got gas prices at $5 and $6 a gallon here in America.
Yes, and so it's important. If we do create more green energy, part of it will actually substitute for, because it's at the same price, it will substitute for fossil fuels. But you're right that what we're talking about is, most green politicians have been advocating for a long time that fossil fuels should become incredibly expensive. They've now gotten their wish. And of course, all of them are sort of aghast at what that means for their voters. They're starting realizing, oh, wait, when you still run your economy on pretty much 4/5 fossil fuels, it's not a good idea to have fossil fuels be incredibly expensive. And this goes to show you're not going to solve global warming by making fossil fuels so expensive nobody wants them, because you're going to be unseated as a politician instead. The only way we're going to solve global warming is by making green energy so cheap everybody will want it. And that's through innovation. Remember, back in the 1950s, we didn't solve the air pollution problem in Los Angeles by telling everyone, I'm sorry, could you just walk? We solved it by telling people or innovating the catalytic converter. It costs a little bit of money, and then you basically can drive without polluting. That's how we should do it with green energy. If we could make, say, fourth generation nuclear much cheaper than anything else, we don't need to have rich, well-meaning Americans or anyone else, buy them and spend $400 billion in subsidizing them. Everyone will buy them, also the Chinese, the Indians, and the Africans.
But that takes time, and this is, and again, we're on a political timeline rather than an energy timeline, a sensible timeline that's driven by innovation rather than politics. And so the interesting thing about this is all of the ink, all of the energy, if you will, that's been devoted to this. Mark Mills, writing in City Journal, over the last 2 decades, we've seen a 2 percentage point decline in hydrocarbons as the primary source of energy. 84% of all energy from hydrocarbons. That's declined 2 percentage points in 20 years as we've spent trillions on Solyndra and the latest gambits to incentivize rich people to buy Teslas and so on and so forth. It doesn't even move the needle because of the realities of, an industrialized world, or at least for the industrialized world.
Exactly. I don't think anyone really has a sense of how slow things are going. So as you mentioned, we've moved a couple of percentage points. If you just extrapolate what we've achieved since 2015, when everybody joined hands in Paris and promised we were going to save the world, if you extrapolate that, depending on which energy statistic you use, we're going to reach 100% renewable somewhere between 2200 and 2400. We're just not anywhere near what people will talk to you about. Oh, we're going to do this in 30 years. No, we're not. And the only thing you're going to achieve over the next 30 years is exactly the kind of thing that you're seeing now. You'll try to make fossil fuels so expensive, and then everybody rebels and becomes really ugly, and people give up on climate policy. Instead, we should be focusing on energy innovation. It's not rocket science. You're only going to get the whole world on board if you focus not on expensive subsidies, but on cheap innovation. That's what solved everything else in the past, and that's what's going to solve this problem as well.
And what's your reaction to no more gas vehicles by 2035 in California, and now Massachusetts and Washington are following the same pattern?
Well, it's incredibly cheap to say we're going to outlaw fossil fuel cars by 2035, because obviously none of those politicians are actually going to be around when that comes. And then when the vast majority of people still want to buy gasoline cars, of course it's not going to happen. But it's more important to recognize the Biden administration's own data. So they publish every year how many cars do we actually believe are going to be from the Energy Information Administration. And it turns out that they estimate that by 2050, not in 2035, by 2050, 13% of all cars, of all light-duty vehicles, so basically cars in the U.S. are going to be electric. 13%. So unless you're willing to subsidize out of pocket for pretty much all the remaining 87%, you're not going to get there anytime soon. And of course, the point is you can subsidize your way to this. Everybody likes to point out, Norway. But remember, Norway is incredibly rich, parenthesis, because they sell a lot of oil, and they feel comfortable about basically subsidizing electric cars to the point that it's almost free for people to buy them compared to gasoline cars. Now, of course, you could just distribute electric cars to everybody down at the shopping mall, and then everyone would have an electric car. But the point is, we can't afford that. And so if you're going to be realistic, instead of focusing on getting everybody on electric cars as long as most people want gasoline cars, we should, again, focus on innovation. Once electric cars are cheaper and better than gasoline cars, everyone will buy them. So the simple question is, why do you need to ban gasoline cars unless it's because electric cars aren't actually better?
2035, 2050, 2400, these are rounding errors to the government. This, Bjorn. Bjorn Lomborg, president of the Copenhagen Consensus think tank, author of False Alarm, How Climate Change Panic Costs Us Trillions, Hurts the Poor, and Fails to Fix the Planet. Bjorn, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Great to talk to you guys.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
If you've helped everybody as much as you have me, boy, you're magic. And everybody remarks, not just family, but people that I haven't seen in a long time and people that see me that say, you are looking so good, no way are you 82 years old.
Yeah, I have a lot more energy during the day, and I work 10, 12, 14 hours a day. So I do have a lot more energy. I just feel like I'm healthier because of it. So, I mean, that's great news, you know. Taking more than 3 or 4, I'm taking up to 10 a day of each. So that's why I'm going through it so quick. Nobody gets enough veggies or fruits. I don't. So this is my solution.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature right now. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com for more information or to place your order. Shipping is always free. And don't forget to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer by using discount code Chicago.
Hot and humid outside, but your basement or crawl space shouldn't feel that way. The Permaseal team has a solution for you. Their PermaDry air system will lower humidity in your home to a safe level and keep it there no matter how hot it is outside. Give them a call today, 800-421-SEAL. PermaDry is 3 times as powerful and efficient as the dehumidifiers as a big box store, so don't spend your hard-earned money and not actually solve the problem. The PermaDry air system filters mold spores and allergens, making the air that you breathe upstairs healthier all year round. Permaseal strives to create remarkable experiences for homeowners, but don't just take my word. Check out their reviews with the BBB and nearly 7,000 reviews on Google. Contact Permaseal today for a free evaluation. Now, due to the ongoing heat and humidity, they are extending the 20% PermaDry discount. So don't wait. This offer expires August 31st. Be sure to ask about their finance options, too, up to 48 months. 800-421-SEAL, 800-421-7325, or permaseal.net.
The following is a paid political announcement.
It will be the summer of joy in Chicago.
Instead, the trio of Pritzker, Lightfoot, and Fox have made this another summer of murder, mayhem, and chaos.
My granddaughter FaceTimed us saying, help me, Daddy's shot. And then they threw over him and they executed him in front of her. And then they shot at her.
Thanks to Governor Pritzker, the lawlessness of Chicago will soon be the law statewide. Pritzker's so-called Safety Act makes Illinois a safe haven for violent criminals. That's why 100 of Illinois' 102 county state's attorneys oppose Pritzker's mandatory release of alleged murderers, kidnappers, and arsonists. Prosecutors like Will County State's Attorney Jim Glasgow.
It's going to be literally the end of days.
And prosecutors like DuPage County State's Attorney Bob Berlin.
We are going to have violent criminals out on the street.
Stop Chicago violence from coming to your town. Vote no on J.B. Pritzker. Paid for by people who play by the rules PAC.
But I'm not at the station, so I can't take my Balance of Nature. But Tracy Kahn, Joe Cotton Ford, he took his Balance of Nature at what time today? 2:45. There you go. Look at so much energy, pep in his step. He's ready to go. Jeff Reisman, our general manager, he also takes Balance of Nature. And look at you two. You're both in great shape. Seriously. How much weight did you lose, Jeff? If I can get personal. 40 pounds, and Tracy has lost about 20 pounds. And I met a man who's lost 75 pounds, and he attributes it to Balance of Nature because instead of just, going for a sweet snack, he grabs those fruit capsules. I'm not making this up. He grabs the fruit capsules. You two are both shaking your heads here. He grabs the fruit capsules and eats that because it's a little sweet there. So here's what you do. You go online to balanceofnature.com and be sure to use discount code Chicago. First timers get 35% off their new preferred orders of fruits and veggies. Or you can call the number 800-246-8751, 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago, or again online at balanceofnature.com, discount code Chicago.
Attention. Hi, I'm attorney Anthony Mancini of the Mancini Law Group. If you or a loved one
Use a CPAP device manufactured by Philips Respironics for 6 months or longer, and afterwards develop cancer or respiratory illness, you could be eligible for financial compensation. Philips Respironics manufactured CPAP devices using known cancer-causing materials. Contact the Mancini Law Group for a no-cost case evaluation.
If you or a loved one used a Philips Respironics CPAP machine for more than 6 months and consequently were diagnosed with cancer or a respiratory illness, you may be eligible for financial compensation. Contact the Mancini Law Group for a no-cost case evaluation at 773-745-1909. That's 773-745-1909. Or online at ManciniLaw.com. That's ManciniLaw.com.
News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com. On the AM 560 tune in iHeart and on Odyssey.
To launch. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. NASA is not even going to try, giving up this morning.
The scrub of the attempt of launch of Artemis 1 and the Space Launch System with the Orion spacecraft.
That's NASA's Daryl Nail. A short time ago, Fox's Evan Brown explains what went wrong live.
Dave, Artemis 1 has no human crew, and when it finally launches, it will be a 6 weeks long proving mission for the SLS rocket and the Orion crew vehicle intended for long-duration moon missions. The rocket has 4 main engines, and when they began fueling early this morning at the Kennedy Space Center, one of the 4 engines wasn't getting enough fuel. It's not a problem that could have been fixed mid-countdown. The next chance to launch will be this Friday in the early afternoon, Dave.
Evan, why is a big question in Bend, Oregon, where a gunman showed up in a grocery store last night, sending shoppers running.
Shooter moved through the parking lot from the Costco on the west end, shooting rounds from an AR-15 style rifle.
Bend Police Chief Mike Krantz says 2 people were killed, and officers found the shooter dead inside the store. In Phoenix, Arizona,
3 people, including the suspects, are dead following a shooting near Interstate 17. Thankfully, the 2 officers are recovering and in good spirits. Police did not reveal many details about the shooting last night, but did say there was an exchange of gunfire between the suspect and police. They did not mention how the gunman died.
Fox's Todd Pyro. It's day 2 of a manhunt in Fort Worth, Texas. Police looking for the gunman in a drive-by shooting that left a teenager and a 5-year-old boy dead, shot when a car pulled up outside their home. A toddler was also shot and wounded. It's now 76 days in a row that the price of gas has fallen since the $5 record high, driven by lower demand as people try to avoid filling up.
In fact, lower crude oil prices was just a tiny portion of this 13-cent drop that we've just seen.
Down 13 cents the past 2 weeks. An analyst Tripoli Lundberg's survey of stations that has regular at 397, AAA's average 385. America's listening to Fox News. 73 degrees in Chicago. It's 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A woman dead, a man wounded following a shooting near a police station on Chicago's south side near Vincennes and Monterey.
The vehicle then proceeded westbound on Monterey and turned into the driveway of the 22nd District Police Station, where the offending vehicle pulled up to the mouth of the driveway and fired several rounds.
Several bullets hit the police station. The woman later died at a nearby hospital. Chicago's unofficial weekend tally, 8 killed and 27 wounded. No one is in custody following a shooting inside a Dalton Church gymnasium. Police say they're investigating at New Life Celebration Church of God. Winter gas can now be sold in Wisconsin, Illinois, and soon Michigan because of a refinery fire in northwest Indiana. Now, the EPA move will allow refineries to make winter blend gas easier to make in order to keep up with demand. An investigation is underway after one person was killed in a skydiving accident near Skydive Chicago in LaSalle County over the weekend. A bicyclist was killed, struck by a vehicle over the weekend in the Bridgeport neighborhood. It happened on Saturday in the 400 block of West 26th. Diamondbacks beat the White Sox 3-2. Cubs fell to the Brew Crew 9-7 in Milwaukee. College football, Northwestern a win over Nebraska over the weekend, while the Fighting Illini stomped on Wyoming 38-6. The news, a service of Dan and Amy 24/7. Listen now, danamy247.com.
8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat. It is a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Maria Bartiromo, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stocks are expected to lose more ground as investors look at the likelihood of continued interest rate increases. Bitcoin's price retreated below $20,000 for the first time in more than a month. A new factory is being planned in the U.S., a joint venture between Honda and LG Energy to produce batteries for electric vehicles. Reports in Japan say the companies are considering placing the plant in Ohio. Honda already produces cars there. Construction on the $4.4 billion factory is expected early next year, with production starting by the end of 2025. Sony is buying gaming company Savage Game Studios. The business will become part of a new mobile division of PlayStation Studios. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
If you missed Cigar Night 2022, you missed a memorable evening. Now, you can experience Cigar Night from the comfort of your own home when you watch it on demand. Rent Cigar Night 2022, featuring Dennis Prager.
What do I have to do to save this country?
Dan Proft.
You can't just run everywhere because they chase you.
And Sean Thompson.
You have one life, and I'm not willing to risk it on a Democrat road.
Go to 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar.
When your home or business has an insurance claim, the next step is very important. The claim process with insurance can be tedious, hard to understand, and difficult to navigate. You need someone working for you. You need a licensed claim adjuster. Why? The insurance company will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them, not you.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company. If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at crosscominc.com. That's crosscominc.com. Crosscom, building trust for over 20 years.
Attention. Hi, I'm attorney Anthony Mancini of the Mancini Law Group. If you or a loved one use a CPAP device manufactured by Philips Respironics for 6 months or longer and afterwards develop cancer or respiratory illness, you could be eligible for financial compensation. Philips Respironics manufactured CPAP devices using known cancer-causing materials. Contact the Mancini Law Group for a no-cost case evaluation.
If you or a loved one used a Philips Respironics CPAP machine for more than 6 months and consequently were diagnosed with cancer or a respiratory illness, you may be eligible for financial compensation. Contact the Mancini Law Group for a no-cost case evaluation at 773-745-1909. That's 773-745-1909. Or online at mancinilaw.com. That's mancinilaw.com.
This is it, your last chance to win $5,000 a week forever from Publishers Clearinghouse. Today is the last day to enter. Win $5,000 a week for your life. Then after that, someone you choose gets $5,000 a week for their life. But you must enter at PCH.com before it's too late. Hurry, today's the final day to enter, so go to PCH.com now. $5,000 a week forever. Don't miss your last chance to win it this August 31st. Enter now at PCH.com. Entries due 8/29. No purchase necessary. Void or prohibited.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
It's 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads this morning. We do that in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, and this update is a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show, 27 minutes in on the Edens from Lake Cook Road into the Junction, Kennedy, and about an hour 14 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike inbound is at an hour 17 from 390 into the old post office. Stevenson, 53 minutes from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Lakeshore Drive itself jammed up due to an accident. Left lane blocked southbound between Irving Park and North Avenue. Tri-State Tollway disabled vehicle just cleared out of your way northbound at 87. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, clouds breezy and humid. Couple of thunderstorms could be severe this afternoon. Downpours, hail, and damaging wind, high 87. Thunderstorm around this evening, otherwise clearing tonight, low 65. And then sunny, breezy day tomorrow, the high 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
73 at O'Hare. We'll call it partly cloudy at the moment. 80 next news at 8:30. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
From the Matrix Home Solutions studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy coming to you live from Joe Cotton Ford and Carroll Stream this morning, kicking off sales of our Freedom Summit, tickets for our Freedom Summit coming November 5th. FreedomSummitChicago.com is where you go to pick up those tickets. If you're a AM 560 Advantage member, if you're not, you got to become a member, and then you get advance notice on picking up tickets to things like the Freedom Summit. Over the weekend, Mr. 10%, old big guy, was rallying the faithful in Maryland, and he had some. Despite being a uniter, as advertised, he had some disparaging words for MAGA World. This is what he said at a fundraiser pre-rally. This comes to us from MSNBC, so you know it's accurate. I went right to the source.
The president said, quote, "What we're seeing now is the beginning or the death knell of an extreme MAGA philosophy. It's not just Trump. It's the entire philosophy that underpins the," I'm going to say something, "it's like semi-fascism." That's a quote.
Semi-fascism, and if you think that's not the position of the Democrat Socialists, then you'd be wrong. DNC Chairman Jamie Harrison was on with Face the Nation over the weekend. Major Garrett was subbing. Not that it matters. They're interchangeable parts. But this is what he had to say about you and me, you know, the MAGA semi-fascists.
Mr. Chairman, you embrace the rhetoric semi-fascism to describe the Republican Party.
Well, it's not about the embracing. It's calling what it is, what it is.
What it is,
wow.
What it is. If you're a semi-fascist, then we call you a semi-fascist. Hey. And listen, he went on to explain why he uses that description, why the big guy, Mr. 10%, was right and proper to use the description as well. Take a listen to the nature of the argument, because it presents a real contrast that needs to be highlighted by Republicans.
In the end of the day, we are a country built on freedom. And when you chip away at that, when you see the bullying that takes place in places like Florida with DeSantis, when you see them chip away at privacy rights, when they try to demonize the other, the attacks on transgender kids and their families, the attacks on marriage equality that we are hearing from the Supreme Court. This is not who America is. We're about freedom and rights for all of America's people.
Yeah, not in the business of demonizing, says the guy who just doubled down on semi-fascists. But more to the point, it really underscores the divide between the two sides. What you hear from Jamie Harrison and the new Marxists is freedom through government. What you hear from Ron DeSantis and conservative reform Republicans is freedom from government. So it's either freedom through or it's freedom from. That, to me, is a pretty good binary for Republicans to present in the last 65 days before the midterms. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Jonathan Williams. He's the chief economist and vice president for ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council. Jonathan, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good to be back with you. And as always, greetings from this land of make-believe here in Washington, D.C.
Yeah. We appreciate your time. And so, thinking about the accomplishments, because Jamie Harrison was ticking them off over the weekend on Face the Nation to a perfectly compliant Major Garrett, as you would expect, and the Inflation Reduction Act, the American Rescue Act, all of those freedom through government programs, the forgiveness of student loans, all of those freedom through government programs that the left touts. It seems to me, I don't know what you think, that this is a choice that should be presented in a straightforward fashion to the voting public.
No, I think you're right. I mean, this is, as Thomas Sowell would say, a conflict of visions, right? And this is exactly what we're seeing right now. I mean, if you like where we're at with 8 or 9% inflation, over $30 trillion of national debt, an economy in decline right now over the last 2 quarters, and then all this kind of one side you have this Orwellian spin that wants to double down on really all of the failures of the last couple of years and add more to that debt and spending and taxing. And then I think, as you mentioned, Governor DeSantis and others out there, certainly the leaders out in the states that we follow with ALEC, are pushing the envelope towards, freedom-enhancing policies like flat taxes and lower overall regulatory and spending regimes. And, I think the contrast couldn't be more stark right now. And even if you just juxtapose that on the 50 states, as we often track in rich states, poor states, is, just look at California, New York, and Illinois versus, let's say, Texas, Florida, and Tennessee. No income tax states, couldn't have different policy environments. And then just look at the outcomes of where the unemployment rate is, where the income growth is, where the job growth is for everybody across the income spectrum. So I think that's exactly the right contrast as a free market conservative that everyone should be talking about right now.
Thank you for saying economy in decline and not recession, because recession is an ugly word. It's an accurate word, but it's an ugly word, so we don't like to use that, of course, out of respect for Mr. 10%. We saw we saw on Friday the market get hammered when Jay Powell sort of rained on the parade of people who, I guess, were thinking that we've reached peak inflation. And basically he said, we haven't, and we're going to continue whacking your brokerage account until we get inflation under control. And so it seems to me that's going to put a damper on this attempt to manufacture optimism where it is not warranted by Democrats in the last 60 days before the midterms, because, of course, these pocketbook issues are at the top of people's minds.
Well, that's right. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's like, in a way, you want to just, scream at the TV sometimes and say, what were you actually thinking was going to happen when you spend hundreds of billions of dollars more and tax hundreds of billions of dollars more, and then have inflationary policies like the debt forgiveness plan of President Biden, among other policy mistakes? It's my co-author Art Laffer says this all the time. I mean, this isn't rocket surgery. When you spend more and you tax more, you're going to put pressure on more inflation and less economic growth. And so, I think the predictable response from Chairman Powell the other day was exactly what we were afraid of, is when you add more inflationary pressure to the economy that's already maxed out at 40-year high inflation. What did we really think we were going to get after what Washington, D.C. just foisted upon us a couple of weeks ago?
And who do you think is going to have to pay for this new student loan forgiveness that Biden rolled out?
And is
right.
it
I mean,
even
all of us
legal?
are going to pay for it. We're paying for it in actually a couple of different ways. We're paying for it now, and it's going to add to the inflation pressures, certainly, and put more pressure on the Federal Reserve to continue raising rates and hurting the housing markets and everyone's savings, and those pension funds that are already underfunded in all the states, like Illinois especially, those continue to have the pressure. And then, of course, we actually have to pay off the expense later on. And so we're paying for these new items twice, right now with inflation, and then, of course, down the road when the bills actually do come due.
And don't you, real quick, just to follow up on that, don't you think universities now are going to raise tuition costs because they can?
Well, that's such an important point. I was just talking about that over the weekend. I mean, this is exactly the kind of misaligned incentive. This is exactly opposite. I mean, the Wall Street Journal put it, I think, this way for Seinfeld fans out there. This is George Costanza-style government. Everything that we should be doing, they're doing the exact opposite. And, you know, what has been rising, magnitudes higher already than inflation has been student costs and university costs outside of people like Mitch Daniels at Purdue that have held tuition constant. The vast majority of these schools have already been raising tuition far above inflation, and this is going to give them all the more incentive to do so. And by the way, give people all the more incentive to rack up more debt for degrees that may not matter in the future, because guess what? If we bailed out student debt once, why wouldn't the federal government do it again when we have these progressives in power in Washington?
Right. Freedom is fascism or semi-fascism, and government dependency is freedom. That's sort of where we're at least that's the argument the left seems to be making. He is Jonathan Williams, Chief Economist and Vice President for the American Legislative Exchange Council, ALEC. Jonathan, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Always great to join you. Take care.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
This is it, your last chance to win $5,000 a week forever from Publishers Clearinghouse. Today is the last day to enter. Win $5,000 a week for your life. Then after that, someone you choose gets $5,000 a week for their life. But you must enter at PCH.com before it's too late. Hurry, today's the final day to enter, so go to PCH.com now. $5,000 a week forever. Don't miss your last chance to win it this August 31st. Enter now at PCH.com. Entries due 8/29. No purchase necessary. Void or prohibited.
Identity theft shows no sign of slowing down. In fact, more than $14 billion stolen last year. That's a criminal success story and a wake-up call. It can be dangerously easy to steal your identity. LifeLock by Norton makes it easy to help protect yourself. If you become a victim, LifeLock will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save 25% on their first year of protection with promo code BECK at LifeLock.com. LifeLock.com, promo code BECK.
Hey, so our friend and colleague John Anthony, the host of Black and Right on the Weekend, said he got a couple of calls, a couple of friends of his that have been taking 120 Life and seen great improvement in their blood pressure. So let's hear from one of them.
You know, honestly, over break, I actually took the 120 Life, and this one apparently is for healthy blood pressure. But yeah, it's down to 153 over 107, even with us laughing and joking.
And what was it prior to?
It was 184 over 113 or something like that.
Off Daddy, what did I tell you? That stuff works.
Yeah.
All right.
Because he was at the studio, his friend was, and he was, his blood pressure was out of control, and so he grabbed one of your 120 Lives, and that was the result.
All right. Well, I'll invoice him for that 120 Life, but I'm glad that it's working for him. You've heard me tout the goodness of 120 Life for nearly a year now. It has so many benefits, I can't stop talking about it. It's my go-to juice that I drink every day to help keep my blood pressure in check. Packed with 6 natural ingredients that have great health benefits like beetroot, hibiscus, tart cherry juice, pomegranate, and magnesium. 120 Life tastes good and feels good, especially when you pour it over ice. It comes in a convenient 8-ounce bottle that makes it easy to take on the go. So log on to 120life.com. That's 120life.com. Order their 2-week trial pack and use the coupon code DAN at checkout for 10% off your order, plus free shipping. And now you can earn customer rewards points with every order, points you can collect and redeem for product discounts of up to $50. Check it out at 120life.com. 120 Life makes it easy to manage high blood pressure without the use of prescription medication, so try it today. Visit 120life.com and tell them Dan Prof sent you.
This is Kurt Schlichter. When the left said it wanted to transform America, what it really meant was it wanted to ruin everything. From our decaying cities to our best-in-the-world military, whatever the left gets control of, it destroys. but it isn't too late to turn this around. That's why I wrote my latest book called We'll Be Back, The Fall and Rise of America. This book is my roadmap back to American greatness.
Read Kurt Schlichter's essential new book, We'll Be Back, The Fall and Rise of America. Available wherever books are sold.
Hi, I'm Al Abaroa, founder of Knight Strategic Wealth. Inflation is a problem, markets are volatile, and the risk of running out of money in retirement is real. That's why I love annuities, and you should too. Your financial advisor doesn't want you to know that with our annuity strategy, when the stock market goes up, you earn a market-linked return that locks in every year, and when the stock market goes down, your annuity won't lose a dime. There are no unnecessary fees, and it works for your investments, money at a brokerage firm, or even money at a bank. It's simple, it's safe, and you should only invest if you learn the facts, and that's why savvy investors work with us. Want to learn more? Text FREE to 833-898-0500, and we'll send our retirement readiness kit directly to your phone right now. If you want to use safe, low-fee annuities to build a retirement portfolio that will go up with the market and never lose money, get our retirement readiness kit today and see how this strategy can help secure your future. Text FREE to 833-898-0500. Text FREE to 833-898-0500.
So, by the way, an update, I was correct in my diagnosis of the problem with my car.
That's a piece of crap.
No, that the left rear caliper is out and it's leaking fluid, brake fluid. So I can't drive it home. I'm going to get it towed from here. That'll be so fun. All right. What are you doing for your health? Are you taking charge? Are you being proactive? Are you eating enough fruits and veggies? If not, that's where Balance of Nature comes in. 6 capsules, you're getting 10 servings of 31 different fruits and veggies. And you hear stories on the station all the time about how people's lives have changed by taking Balance of Nature. Well, guess what? The next success story could be yours, but you have to order your bottles of fruits and veggies today. I think that's the tow truck that's coming to get my car. The number to call is 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago online at balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
Hi, this is Hugh Hewitt for Key City Capital. Go there at keycitycapital.com/Hugh. You've heard me on my radio show with Charlie Dombeck. Now, Charlie has been a practicing CPA for 30 years. He is one of the founders of Key City Capital, and the reason he did so is they wanted to be wealth acceleration experts. Charlie begins by looking at your taxes to see if you've paid too much money over the past few years. He then suggests to you investments. This is an offer to sell. This is just telling you that Charlie can be trusted. A bunch of investments that will have great returns if they perform as they did in the past, and there's no guarantee of future performance, of course. But it'll help you structure your tax situation, generate tax-free cash flows. Let Charlie protect your wealth, lower your tax liability. So many of our listeners have connected with him. Connect with Charlie today at keycitycapital.com/Hugh. That's keycitycapital.com/Hugh. You can trust Charlie. You can trust Key City Capital at keycitycapital.com/Hugh.
AM 560. The Answer.
Time now for another reason why Dan Proft is single.
Dan and Amy coming to you live from Joe Cotton Ford in Carroll Stream.
We're going to take it down a notch, folks.
Yes. So, why Dan Proft is single? This installment comes to us from Down Under.
Excuse me.
I mean Australia.
Is this Country Thunder Down
I mean
Under?
Australia.
Okay, thank you.
Australian nightclub said it will remove people who are caught staring at someone without that person's consent.
Oh, please.
Not kidding.
People watching is the best thing ever. Especially at bars. You see what, check out what people are wearing. And
it's the old adage that what happens on a college campus does not stay on a college campus. So remember Oberlin College? This is like back when I was in college. So it comes after you were in college because you're many years my senior.
Yeah.
But it's Oberlin College. When you had to remember the story, you had to at every stage of intimacy you had to get consent.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
If you wanted to kiss, you had to have consent. If you wanted to do other things, there was a written contract, right, that you had to sign?
To deal with those butch feminists at Oberlin who were overly aggressive. But so you had to, your attorney present with you in the car when you were on a date up at Inspiration Point. So that's sort of like this thing. This thing is, I have to get permission from not me, but I'm just using me as an example.
Right.
Because I have to get permission to stare at somebody.
Well, What do you just look down at the floor when you're at a bar? No. I mean, what do they expect from you now?
I mean, there's the magical love at first sight eye contact you get at the thump clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. But I mean, so first of all, I know. I mean, and you can confirm this. I know how much women hate attention at clubs, which is why they wear nothing.
Right.
I know
why
they don't
do
want
their
to
hair
be
and makeup.
noticed.
Yeah, don't look at me. I'm
Right.
hideous. Yeah.
Right. But I mean, so maybe we should. I'm thinking we should do this, like, since we live in this dystopia, you do this Kurt Vonnegut style, Harrison Bergeron, where the attractive people have to be blindfolded.
Oh,
So they can't connect. And then it's equitable. It gives the downtrodden, it gives the less attractive, the attractively challenged like myself, an opportunity to, I guess, side glance.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and maybe,
Perfect
right,
vision,
because
yeah.
if you have you don't get to see all the, and maybe you'll settle for.
Do they have
I don't-
stare police out? I mean, how are they going to enforce
Literally,
this?
it's gonna be-
Literally. Hey, you looked at her for too long.
I guess, you know, if somebody complains, then, you know, whoever the ogler is will be thrown out. And of course, it's always going to be the ugly guy because you want to be stared at by the good looking guy. Now, again, I'm being chauvinistic because I'm assuming it's just the males ogling the females when, in point of fact, it could be a lot of ogling that goes from the
Right.
fairer sex to the barbarian set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is another reason why Dan Proft is single.
well, it's because it's so complicated. I don't want to use dating sites because they're even more ghastly.
Do they have
And then
flyers
I
up
can't
at the
go to-
bar?
Do they what?
Do they have flyers up saying don't stare at somebody for too long?
They made a statement. Now, I guess this is some sort of marketing ploy that as a nightclub, we encourage you to interact with strangers. However, any engagement must begin with verbal consent. This also applies if you are, for example, staring at someone from afar. So, I mean, how do you do that? You say, hey, hi, I'm Dan. I'm a creepy guy. I'd like to stare at you from afar. I'd like to fixate you and just track your movements. Would that meet your needs? All right, one other reason why Dan Proft is single.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer. Oh,
no,
there's another reason.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
If you could
Excuse
listen
me.
to the flow here. I'm speaking into this, right? This is on. Groom in China is killed by lightning strike while posing for engagement photo shoot with fiancé. You know, how many times does God have to tell you?
She's not.
Point taken.
Now coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk to Will Riley, Associate Professor at Poli-Sci at Kentucky State, about the ballot measure in L.A. to house the homeless in hotels with open rooms in the interest of equity. 8:38.
But now let's head straight into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
73 degrees, 8:31. The Artemis 1 mission launch from Cape Canaveral has been canceled.
We were just minutes into that launch window for the Artemis 1 moon rocket when the launch director scrubbed the mission. And this comes after a series of issues that teams faced this morning. First, starting with weather, they had a leak that they identified. And most recently, some of the larger engines on the bottom of the rocket, they identified an issue with one of them, and then also a crack in some of the protective layer around the rocket. So it's no surprise, given the amount of issues that they face today, that this is scrubbed. They have 2 dates that they can choose from, being this Friday or Monday, to give it another go.
That's Fox's Brandy Campbell at the Kennedy Space Center. If launched, the capsule aims to circle around the moon and then come back. Future plans for this mission include sending humans to the moon for the first time in 50 years. Police in Bend, Oregon are trying to learn more about the man who killed 2 at a grocery store before apparently killing himself. Police Chief Mike Krantz.
We're aware of other information floated around on social media about the person who was engaged in the shooting, and we're investigating all leads.
The suspect began shooting near another retail store in a shopping center, fatally shot a person outside of a Safeway store, and then went inside that store, firing several rounds that killed another person. One of 3 Dutch military commandos shot in downtown Indianapolis is now dead. The shooting happened Saturday morning near Meridian in Maryland. That's not far from the capital. The Dutch Ministry of Defense said this morning 1 commando has died. The men were in Indiana, according to the Dutch. for a training exercise and were off duty at the time of the incident. A woman is dead, a man wounded following a shooting near a police station on Chicago's far south side.
The victim's vehicle then proceeded westbound on Monterey and turned into the driveway of the 22nd District Police Station, where the offending vehicle pulled up to the mouth of the driveway and fired several rounds.
And several of those bullets hit the police station. The woman died at a nearby hospital from multiple gunshot wounds. Chicago sports, Diamondbacks beat the White Sox 3-2. Brewers over the Cubs 9-7. Bears finish the NFL preseason at 3-0 after a win over the Browns. It's cut-down day tomorrow. They need to get that roster down to 53. Sky dropped their first game of the WNBA semifinals against Connecticut. The news, a service of Salem Surround. Go to surroundchicago.com today. 8:34, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher wants us to prepare.
We have a battle ahead of us. We have turmoil in America. We've got to be ready to fight, not physically, but at the ballot box, with ideas, with logic, with wisdom, with clarity. I know this.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is it. Your last chance to win $5,000 a week forever from Publishers Clearinghouse. Today is the last day to enter. Win $5,000 a week for your life. Then after that, someone you choose gets $5,000 a week for their life. But you must enter at PCH.com before it's too late. Hurry, today's the final day to enter, so go to PCH.com now. $5,000 a week forever. Don't miss your last chance to win it this August 31st. Enter now at PCH.com. Entries due 8/29. No purchase necessary. Void or prohibited.
Identity theft shows no sign of slowing down. In fact, more than $14 billion stolen last year. That's a criminal success story and a wake-up call. It can be dangerously easy to steal your identity. LifeLock by Norton makes it easy to help protect yourself. If you become a victim, LifeLock will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save 25% on their first year of protection with promo code BECK at LifeLock.com. LifeLock.com, promo code BECK.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I believe in your product, and it sure helped me. I feel so much better, and I got more energy. I can't say anything bad about it.
Okay, with the Balance of Nature, I've noticed I could eat certain things I couldn't eat before. Today's the first day I noticed I could feel my head feeling like a more positive outlook on getting stuff done during the day and hyped up.
I really appreciate it. I really like your product. I'm happy with it.
You don't have to really think about it anymore. You've got it, and it's in your diet. Regularity, let's put it that way. It's very good.
Definitely, the more I've taken it, I've noticed a lot more energy. So it's been a good change.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature right now. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com for more information or to place your order. Shipping is always free. And don't forget to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Tell me why Relief Factor is so successful in lowering or eliminating pain. I'm often asked that question. Pete and Seth Talbot, the father-son owners of Relief Factor, tell me they believe our bodies were designed to heal. That's right, designed to heal. And I agree with them. The doctors who formulated Relief Factor for them selected the 4 best ingredients, yes, 100% drug-free ingredients, that each help your body deal with inflammation. Each of the 4 ingredients deals with inflammation from a different metabolic pathway. That's right there, approaching from 4 different angles may very well be why so many people find such wonderful relief. If you have back pain, shoulder, neck, hip, knee, or foot pain from exercise or just getting older, you should order the 3-week Quick Start, discounted to only $19.95 to see if it'll work for you. I think it could. Give your body what it needs to heal itself. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-500-8384.
This is Jerry Boyer for Townhall.com. Pete Buttigieg, our Secretary of Transportation, recently pointed middle-class families towards electric cars as the way out of the problem of high gas costs. For a transportation secretary, he sure isn't very good at giving directions. Electricity prices are up 95% since Biden took office. And of course, that's nothing compared to what would happen if Americans actually did switch en masse to electric vehicles. But there's a deeper problem with electric cars: the horrific abuses in the supply chain. The National Legal and Policy Center put a proposal on the ballot asking GM to examine the use of slave and child labor in the production of batteries for their electric cars, and to examine the risk of cancer for children in the mining of cobalt. Amazingly, the standard activists suddenly became curiously incurious about whether electric cars were built on the backs of childhood cancer and slave-like working conditions.
Publicpolicy.pepperdine.edu.
It's 8:38. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that, of course, in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. And this update is a service of the AM 560 mobile app and by Mattress Firm. The hottest summer deals are at Mattress Firm. Shop the best sale of the year and save up to $700 on Tempur-Pedic adjustable mattress sets. Plus, you'll even get $300 instant gift toward sleep accessories. Inbound on the Edens Expressway right now, 24 minutes as you roll inbound from Lake Cook Road to the junction. Kennedy inbound, it's an hour 3 into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike inbound, it's an hour 20 from 390 into the old post office. Stevenson, it's 51 minutes from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan in, 22 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. A good chance of a few thunderstorms today. Some could be severe. High 87. Thunderstorm in spots early this evening. Otherwise, clearing out after midnight. Still humid and a low of 65. Currently 73. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
From the Matrix Home Solutions studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy coming to you live from Joe Cotton Ford in Carroll Stream this morning as we're kicking off ticket sales for our annual Freedom Palooza Fest picnic.
Yes, it's not a picnic.
No, it's not a picnic.
It is taking place Saturday, November 5th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year's lineup includes Larry Elder, Brandon Tatum, and Alex Berenson.
Brandon Tatum? Is that Brandon Tatum? Is that who you're talking about? I don't know who. Brando Tater? What did you say? What did you call him?
Marlon Brando. No, Brandon.
I mean, when you can't
Tatum.
pronounce Brandon Tatum, that's going beyond name assassination.
Also, former Trump campaign and podcaster Jenna Ellis will be there, and Catherine Engelbrecht.
Joby Tobias? What, Joe? What is who's?
Stop it. From True the Vote will be there, and it's all happening again on Saturday, November 5th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Tickets will be available this Friday at freedomsummitchicago.com. But also, if you're an AM 560 Advantage member, when you woke up this morning, you received the link to purchase tickets today in your inbox. So if you're not an AM 560 Advantage member, go to 560theanswer.com/subscribe to sign up, and then you can get your tickets now.
Speaking of renaming things, the LA Homeless Services Authority has, yes, the LA Homeless Services Authority. Please perk your
What
ears
is
up.
that? Okay.
They've issued a call to stop using the term homeless because that's outdated and dehumanizing.
Wait, what are we supposed to call
it?
them?
It promotes othering, and you don't want to other others. You are to term them people without homes.
So that would make them homeless. Okay, people without, you people without homes.
Yeah.
Okay.
People sans homes, if you throw Latin in there. Or you can use a phrase like people who live outside.
Oh, okay. Outsiders.
You live inside, and not outsider is othering.
Okay, sorry.
It's not inclusive. You live outside.
Okay.
I live inside. They're equal habitats. They're both wonderful.
Oh, yes.
It's just
wonderful.
different choices we've made.
Yes.
Or consequences we've suffered from the institutionally racist patriarchal society that
Or that,
enslaves
yes.
some to the benefit of others. Yeah, so people who live outside. Regarding those people who live outside, there is a ballot measure that has been passed thanks to, incredibly, the Hotel Workers Union in LA. So you may, if you're going to plan on doing a trip to LA, you may want, and you're not staying at a friend's house, you have to stay at a hotel, you may want to venture out there before 2024 when this issue will be on the ballot for Angelinans to decide. Here's what's going on out west over by there.
In Los Angeles County, more than 60,000 people are homeless on the average night. And more than 20,000 hotel rooms lie empty on the average night. See where this might be going?
It's insane. It isn't going to solve the problem.
We think this is one part of the solution. By no means do we think this solves the homelessness crisis. But do hotels have a role to play? Of course they do.
So the union he leads, which reps hotel workers, gathered enough signatures and Angelinos will vote on a bill that would force every hotel in town to report vacancies at 2 p.m. every day, then welcome homeless people into those vacant rooms.
You heard there the proponent, that's a gentleman named Kurt Peterson, who's the union boss, or one of the union bosses for the hotel workers. And he went on to add this kicker. You heard from basically a hotel industry guy opposed to this, and then you hear from Kurt Peterson. You'll hear from them again. But listen to how he characterizes those of you, less enlightened, more prone to othering, who would oppose this measure.
We don't want to head backwards into the segregated South, but that's kind of the language that they're talking about. There's a certain class of people, less than humans, animals they almost describe them as, to be honest with you. They don't seem to understand who the unhoused are. We're talking again about seniors, students, working people. That's who the voucher program would benefit the most.
Mm-hmm. So there you go, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636-DA, turnkey.pro text line. Do you want to be a segregationist from the Jim Crow South, or do you want to be enlightened and allow homeless people to claim vacant hotel rooms, through city sponsorship, through city diktat with respect to these private property owners?
They floated that
that's your
idea
choice.
around in Chicago during COVID, remember?
I'm
when
a
they were going
proponent.
to house people?
I'm a proponent.
Really? Why?
Absolutely. This is the city they chose. This is a business community that completely supports the power structure. Where have the hotel and lodging industry been all my life in Chicago? How is the policies of these COVIDian politicians like Triple Threat and Jelly Belly, how have they served your properties in Chicago? Not to mention, we have the scion of a hotelier family, one Jelly Belly,
Oh, that's right.
Hyatt Hotels.
He should be the one that should open the doors.
Absolutely. Live your
There we
values, honey bunch. Live your values. So let's do it. Let's do it. Let's not let LA lead the charge on this. Let's go.
Oh, I wish
Homeless.
he was having a press conference today. I would ask him
Homeless
about this.
in the hotels. The ballot measure in LA, we don't need to do things through plebiscite. We have leaders that we've elected to represent our interests, so let's do it. We've got a homeless problem in Chicago. All you have
We
to
sure
do is drive
do.
around the city a bit and see it. Where has Triple Threat been with this sort of enlightened policy? Mandate the reporting and have the homeless fill the vacant hotel rooms. The Hotel Workers Union in LA seems to like it. At least their boss does. I don't know how much the frontline workers are going to like it. But let's do it, right? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Ralph Rantoul, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning. I could see it now. No job lock, no home lock. I would welcome the sight of stolen grocery carts scattered around lobbies with overflowing bags of mystery garbage, mini bars raided, and who knows? I could just see it right now. I mean, living the Hyatt life. Put it on a commercial. Show all kinds of bums wandering around, getting free food, living free. Living on your dollar because prices will rise everywhere to accommodate that. but that's the little dirty secret that they don't talk about.
Yeah, why not? Why not? And you know, and
And then
thanks
the
for the
city
call,
would
Ralph.
pay for it? I mean, who's going to foot the bill? Or is it just out of the kindness of their heart?
No, the city
they're
pays, market rate for the rooms, like they're doing in New York City for the persons in this country illegally who've been bussed there by Greg Abbott. So, I mean, maybe you set a rate a little bit below market value, whatever you want. I mean, the city can dictate terms to the Peninsula, to the Hyatt, to the Hilton, to all the big hotel operators, and to the little ones too.
Yeah.
The little entrepreneurs that have
the boutique hotels
are imposed upon as well. So why not?
But do you think guests that are paying full price are going to appreciate having, but not all homeless? I mean, I don't know. I know I sound kind of racist if I say that.
Why
homeless people
are there no white homeless people?
No, that you're right. There are a lot of white homeless people.
Yeah.
The problem is homeless people are homeless because they don't want a home. They like the freedom of, why not, living on the lakefront with that view?
I don't know.
You get up, go in the,
According to the head of the hotel union there in L.A., homeless people are just workaday people, seniors on fixed incomes. They're not the mentally ill. They're not habitual drug users.
Are you kidding me?
Well, that's
Remember
the way he described it.
Right. Well, I just was in San Diego recently, and I couldn't believe it. It went on for blocks, and it smelled. There was feces on the ground. It was unbelievable to me. And these two ladies were screaming at each other right next to my car, and she had a metal pipe, and she was about to hit her on the head with it. And it was absolutely just chaos.
You're going to have disputes between neighbors. I mean, that happens in Lakeview. So what's the difference? So you had a dispute between the neighbors in the Garcettiville in L.A. or Santa Monica. Sure, what's the big deal? I don't understand.
But 60,000 people. They only have 20,000 rooms, and there's 60,000 people.
So they can double up.
Do a lottery.
They double up.
Double up. There you go.
Yeah, sure.
Or they could triple up.
Double up and bring out a futon.
There you go.
There's 3 to a room. What's the problem?
Take a shower, have a nice snooze.
I mean, look, are we going to live our values? Or are we going to be? I mean, why should I be able to stay at a boutique hotel and the homeless shouldn't, particularly when there's a room available?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
Jolly Belly.
Are you saying I'm better than the homeless? I don't think so. So
we have to live our values.
There's no question about it.
Okay.
There's absolutely we should do that, and I think sort of like when Mayor Byrne courageously stayed at Cabrini Green for a night. Maybe we could have all of the wonderful progressive leaders of the city of Chicago. They could stay
with them
at a Hyatt with the homeless for a night to show their solidarity with this cause. I think this is important public policy, and I really appreciate the LA Hotel Workers Union leading the way.
312-642-5600.
Joe in his car. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, you're missing the big picture. By putting these homeless into a hotel, you give them an address, you can set up a voting booth in the lobby, you got more votes, keep them in power, and then it's another program that Lightfoot can use to soak the property taxpayers with. That's why I'm glad I sold my house and we're heading to a red state.
All right. Thanks for the call, Joe. Well, I mean, you don't need a hotel address. You don't need a home to be able to vote. You can register from a park bench.
Right.
But I agree with you, the convenience. It's not fair that I have a polling place in my building and a homeless person doesn't have a polling place at their park bench. So, yeah, no, I agree with the equity piece there. It's a good point. Tom in Blue Island.
Hey, Dan and Amy, I got nailed a while back. The staff at the hotel figured out that I was smoking a cigar in the room, and they charged me $150. I'm thinking the smell of a cigar might become mandatory in California. You might have to smoke one.
Thanks for the call, Tom. Mike Schomburg.
Yeah, hi. It's like the scene from Dr. Zhivago when he comes back from his exploits and finds his house inhabited by all of his comrades who have stripped the place clean and they all have their own separate rooms.
You're breaking up, Mike, but we got the Dr. Zhivago reference. Very good. Harry in Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Oh, Harry.
Hi. Good morning, guys. And it's Chicago in here. I think that all the individual homeowners who have open bedrooms should report that by 2 p.m. as well.
It's a good
and
idea.
be forced to take the homeless there, schizophrenics and drug addicts all combined,
That's a great point. Thanks for the call, Harry. Didn't mean to cut you up, but that's a great point. When we're in the business of expropriating other people's private property, why would we stop at hotel operators?
Right.
Because, I mean, they're no more trained to deal with habitual drug use or mental illness or whatever has befallen somebody that's homeless than any private landowner. So, you used to Airbnb.
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
If you Airbnb and you've got a vacancy for any, you
that's
report
right.
your vacancies on every day, and then if you've got a spare room,
Right,
you
why
report your
not?
vacancies, and let's
I don't mind cleaning the sheets again and every day.
hey, it takes a village. We're all in it together.
You got to step up, remember, for
I-
shared values. There
I
you
do
go.
remember. Oh, I remember.
Oh, I remember too. Yeah.
John in Willowbrook, that is.
I tell you, I'd be rich. I'd take my Tesla, pick them up, drop them at the Drake, at the Hilton all day long. I'd be a millionaire in no time.
There you go. Thanks. Right. Maybe the city will pay for transportation to and from the hotels
Yep.
that have room openings. I like that. I think this is coming into focus. Paul in Pembroke Pines, Florida.
Hi, how you doing today?
Good.
I had an idea that you can split it into like work shifts at these hotels and house 3 times as many immigrants by doing 7 to 3, 3 to 11, and 11 to 7, and they take turns in the room.
All right. Very good. Thanks for the call. Run 3 shifts. Good. Gail, New Lenox.
Yes, hi. Anywhere, if I travel 8 hours away from my home, I'm technically homeless. I have nowhere to stay, so I qualify.
Oh.
Very good. Expand the definition. I like that too. Gail, very good.
Get a little, little getaway.
Greg in LaGrange.
Hi. It starts on a school playground as a kid with some bully taking your money, and now it starts with the government stealing your private property to give space to homeless. Anybody that knows about homeless shelters knows that it's a dog-eat-dog world in there, man. And it gets very, very, very uncomfortable because there's a lot of theft and there's a lot of violence. This is health. This is socialism coming to you, and it's only the beginning. Wake up, America.
Thanks for the call, Greg. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The following is a paid political announcement.
It will be the summer of joy in Chicago.
Instead, the trio of Pritzker, Lightfoot, and Fox have made this another summer of murder, mayhem, and chaos.
My granddaughter FaceTimed us saying, "Help me, Daddy's shot." And then they stood over him and they executed him in front of her. And then they shot at her.
Thanks to Governor Pritzker, the lawlessness of Chicago will soon be the law statewide. Pritzker's so-called Safety Act makes Illinois a safe haven for violent criminals. That's why 100 of Illinois' 102 county state's attorneys oppose Pritzker's mandatory release of alleged murderers, kidnappers, and arsonists. Prosecutors like Will County State's Attorney Jim Glasgow.
It's going to be literally the end of days.
And prosecutors like DuPage County State's Attorney Bob Berlin.
We are going to have violent criminals out on the street.
Stop Chicago violence from coming to your town. Vote no on J.B. Pritzker. Paid for by people who play by the rules PAC.
All right. Now's the time to join the millions of Americans who've changed the quality of their sleep with MyPillow. Michael and Dell didn't stop at pillows. Oh, no. The Percale sheets are the comfiest set ever. MyPillow is having their biggest sheet sale, too, of the year. So the Percale sheets are available in a variety of colors and sizes and all around sale. For example, the queen size, regularly priced $89.98, now only $39.98 with promo code Amy. Order now because when they're gone, they're gone. The Percale sheets are breathable and have a cool, crisp feel, a high thread count. And these come with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. So don't miss out on this incredible offer. There is limited supply, so order now. Go to MyPillow.com and click on the radio listener square and use promo code Amy. You'll also get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. Or call 800-489-0201 and be sure to use promo code Amy.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I believe in your product, and it sure has helped me. I feel so much better, and I got more energy. I can't say anything bad about it.
Okay, with the Balance of Nature, I've noticed I could eat certain things I couldn't eat before. Today is the first day I noticed I could feel my head feeling like a more positive outlook on getting stuff done during the day and hyped up.
I really appreciate it. I really like your product. I'm happy with it.
You don't have to really think about it anymore. You've got it, and it's in your diet. It's regularity. Let's put it that way. It's very good.
Definitely, the more I've taken it, I've noticed a lot more energy. So it's been a good change.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature right now. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com for more information or to place your order. Shipping is always free, and don't forget to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer by using discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, we've come to you live this morning from Joe Cotton Ford in Carroll Stream, North Avenue in Gary, kicking off our ticket sales for Freedom Summit 2022.
Yes, and you can get tickets this Friday by going to freedomsummit.com.
FreedomSummitChicago.com.
FreedomSummitChicago. Excuse me. Oh, now you're getting this right.
Even better.
But if you are an AM 560 Advantage member, you woke up this morning to receive a link to purchase your tickets today. So if you're not an AM 560 Advantage member, do it now. Go to 560theanswer.com/subscribe to sign up, and then you can get your tickets. Larry Elder will be there, Brandon Tatum, Alex Berenson, and more. It's going to be a very exciting event, so don't miss it. All right, now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
A woman killed